Tri-Cities Coliseum. I'm Kirk Williamson along with Tony Ott. Tonight, it should be another great hockey game, Tony, between the Americans and the Brandon Wheatkings. The second in a row at home for these Americans.
That's right, Kirk, and I'm looking forward to a very hard physical game tonight. The Brandon Wheatkings are finishing up their road trip and have a heck of a bus ride home tonight, and they'd like to go home smiling.
Well, yeah, those bus rides are bad enough under great circumstances, and with 24 hours in a bus, that's grim. It's on the Big Eastern Swing for the Americans. We went to as far east as Lethbridge the first night out. That's 12 hours, and it's another, at least another 10 from Lethbridge, Alberta to Brandon, Manitoba, where the Wheatkings call home. The Wheaties are coached by Doug Sauter. Kelly McCrimmon is the assistant coach. The Americans coached by John Olver, and the assistant is Jerry Johansson. Now, ladies and gentlemen, from Tri-Cities Coliseum, our national anthems. Anthems, the Star-Spangled Banner in O Canada. The game is ready to get underway between the Tri-City Americans and the Brandon Wheatkings. The crowd tonight, Tony Ott, not nearly as large as the one on Sunday, but still a rather respectable crowd on this rainy, blowy Tuesday night.
That's right, especially for a weeknight. I'm really kind of impressed to see the people come out, support the team. And you know, there are still several good seats left. If you're still out there trying to get to the game, get here, get yourself a good seat, watch some good hockey. We're in for
we're ready for the face-off now. It'll be Rennie with Spinrath and Kwiatkowski facing off against Mark Basson with his line mates Odgers and Hutchings, and the Americans have the puck. They shoot it in behind the Brandon net. Puck goes off into the corner. The Americans chase after it. In after it deep is Rennie. Rennie has it taken off his stick by Wheatkings, and now the Wheatkings play it out. Out along the boards. A big hit there by Spenrath. Spinner loses it to Cheveldayoff. Kevin Cheveldayoff, a first-round pick of the Islanders last year. Now here's Steve Jakes with it for the Americans. Back into the neutral zone. Picked out of there quickly by Odgers. Odgers dumps it down for the Wheatkings, with the Americans play it back out into neutral ice to Cheveldayoff, and he dumps it once again back into the Tri-Cities end. Goes behind the Americans' net. Now they set the rush. Here comes Krause. Krause loses it. Taken away by Audette. Audette goes in on Ferland. A shot blocked by Frank Ferland. Another beautiful save by Ferland the Magician. Americans get it out to the neutral zone, and it's dumped back in by Brandon. Graham Garden dumps it into the corner. Puck down into the corner, and the Americans come out with it. Here it comes to LeBrun. Brunner across the blue line. Sean LeBrun with it at the blue line. Leaves it behind for Duval. Duval, a drive! Blocked by Kidd. Barnes goes in after it. Tries to wrap it around to LeBrun. It's blocked once again by Trevor Kidd and goes back out to the point. A shot by Jakes. He tried to deflect it. Deflected by Barnes and almost went in. Kidd fell down trying to.
And we got a fight going on right now.
Right in front of the net.
Murray Duval is going at it with Barry Dredger.
It is Barry Dreger of the Brandon Wheatkings against Duval. They were going at it right in front of the net. And as of yet, I don't know who has the best of it.
There's a good punch by Duval.
And Dreger gets it.
Oh, and
now,
he takes him down.
Now he takes him down by the seat of the pants. And down they go.
And the fans are coming alive here. This is good. Good action here early.
Well, we thought maybe there'd be a fight or two in this game. It comes at a minute 25 of the first period. For Brandon, it is Dreger. For Tri-Cities, it is Duval, who is not really known as a fighter. But then again, Murray Duval stands 6'2" and weighs 200 pounds. He will get your attention if it's necessary to do so.
You can actually see that play developing down there too as well, Kirk, because Murray was moving into the slot trying to increase his position there, and Dreger is throwing the elbows. And understand that the Brandon Wheatkings are known for some of their high elbowing, and there was a little bit of a shot right there. Murray took care of it.
That's the way Doug Souter likes to play the game. He likes to have some physical activity.
And we also have another penalty there, number 11.
For the Brandon Wheatkings, Curtis Fulquette. And Fulquette will go. Well, let's see what he's ticketed with. They haven't announced that one yet. It all comes at a minute 25. Fulquette draws the penalty along with, I did not hear what his was. I think it was roughing.
And there's a great opportunity right off the beginning of the first period to test out that power play situation.
Power play number 1 for the Tri-City Americans, as they'll face off to the left of Trevor Kidd. Now, when you're watching hockey, there's left and right of the goalie, but there's also the left and right wing boards, and that goes from the goalie's left or the goalie's right as he looks up the ice. So they would be facing off toward the left wing boards to the right of Trevor Kidd. On the face-off, it comes to the Americans, back to Catcher at the point. Catch loses it. Dumped back into the neutral zone, and Kutowicz is there for the Americans. He shoots it in around behind the Brandon net, and Kidd is there. Americans on a power play, up off the dasher board. Catcher kept in by Spenrath. Goes to LeBrun. LeBrun on the left wing boards, down to Spenrath, back to LeBrun. LeBrun with it, back up front now to Catcher. Catcher a drive! Spenrath tried to chip it in, wouldn't go. Barnes rushed in, couldn't get the shot. Good work by Trevor Kidd. And it's rejected back out into the neutral ice area by the Americans. LeBrun back for it. Wheels it around now to Kutowicz. Cutter across the boards. Tries to flip it into the Brandon end, and it goes in. Robertson back for it. And we have a whistle, line violation. Will be an offside against the Americans.
You know, you can definitely tell that Coach John Oliver has been working with the power play. They definitely attacked a little bit better right there. And you got to understand that once the puck is in the slot, there's not much sense of angling for a better position. Take the shot, and if you get attacked, 9 times out of 10, you're going to lose the puck anyway. So turn around, take the shot right there on net.
Well, I think that's been part of the problem, is the Americans have been unwilling to pull the trigger. This will be Basson against Barnes. Basson wins the draw. It goes back to Bob Woods. Bobby Woods shoots it up the boards. Stolen out of there by Basson. Basson in the slot, shot! Blocked by Furlan. And the Americans have it. Another great save by Furlan, the magician. Here comes Barnes. Cross ice pass for LeBrun. Checked out of there by Bob Woods. Woods ahead for Brandon. Here come the Americans with it again. 53 seconds in the power play. Tri-Cities with it. Kutowicz goes to Barnes. Barnes having trouble breaking across the blue line. He finally gets it into icing. A shot blocked by Trevor Kidd. Comes out to the point. Kutowicz keeps it in play. Kwiatkowski will have to work it off the dasher board. It goes right back now to Barnes. Barnes with it. Barnes right. Catcher. He'll play it across the blue line, and it goes back out into the neutral area. Americans will have to clear their zone. Kutowicz, a drive wide of the net. We have a whistle.
We have a penalty, I believe.
Now we do have a penalty, and called by the referee. 25 seconds remaining in the power play. This will be another penalty to Brandon.
Brandon penalty to number 2, Kevin Cheveldayoff.
To Cheveldayoff.
He's thrown out of the game.
Oh, my. Okay. For butt ending.
Cheveldayoff, 5 minutes for butt ending and a game misconduct.
5-minute penalty. That's a big one because you can score as many times as you want to in a 5-minute penalty. You know, in a 2-minute penalty, they score negates the penalty. I've seen penalties last 6 seconds. Not a 5-minute penalty. That's a major. And Cheveldayoff got caught for butt ending. What he did was he used the butt end of the stick to spear Kwiatkowski down along the boards when the puck was tied up on the dasher board. And that's it, Kevin. That is a penalty with intent to injure.
That's right. And as a matter of fact, I believe, Kirk, under the WHL rules, they will take a look at this as far as being a game misconduct. They will actually review this to see what kind of suspension, if any, is given to Kevin for doing what he did today.
Well, and that's a big one. They can ill afford to lose. He only has 3 goals and 7 assists, but he's 6'1", 200 pounds, out of Blaine Elk, Saskatchewan. But he was a first-round pick of the New York Islanders. In fact, he was the 16th overall last year in the National Hockey League draft, was Kevin Cheveldayoff. Someone that the Wheaties can ill afford to lose.
Well, it looks like we got a 5-on-3. Now you're going to notice Brandon sit back inside their slot and play what's called a triangle defense.
The Americans bring it across the blue line, and we have an offside immediately as Nibs was unable to break across the blue line for the Tri-City Americans.
In the triangular formation, the 3 penalty killers can only concentrate on keeping the puck out of the areas that are good scoring positions for the attackers. All they can do is check and maintain position while trying to get possession of the puck.
20 seconds to go in the 5-on-3 advantage. Americans with it. Krause plays it off the boards. Fanned on the puck and lost it to Brandon. Now Krause gets it back. Krause at the blue line. Feeds a pass in the right to LeBrun. Here comes LeBrun. Beats another penalty. And a whistle.
And we got a hooking penalty.
Call.
Yes, we do.
Well, let's see who it goes against. Well, we're waiting to see. It is against Krause. So we'll have a whole bunch of 4-on-4 here for a while on the penalty to Cheveldayoff. This one comes at 3:27 of the period.
Some overtones of the Seattle game here, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a little bit. 28 seconds remaining in a 5-on-4 power play for the Americans.
Spenrath just in offsides off of that.
And on the draw, Spenrath gets in offsides, and they'll bring it back out just outside the Brandon blue line. 4:41 in the penalty to Cheveldayoff. When the 2-minute penalty against Krause ends, the Americans will have their second power play of the night. The Americans, LeBrun with it. Golden opportunity here. LeBrun dumps it into the corner. Goes behind the net. Spenrath for it. Spenrath to LeBrun. 1 penalty is over. 5-on-4. Cross. It goes to LeBrun. He fanned on the shot. LeBrun fanned. What a perfect opportunity to beat Trevor Kidd. Robertson with it. Robertson takes it in. Shoots. And scores. Chris Robertson. Oh, my. That'll turn things around for you in a hurry.
Exactly. You can't afford to do that. There was a complete defensive breakdown right there on the Tri-City Americans.
A 4-on-4 situation on the goal, which comes at 4:40 of the period, unassisted by an unassisted goal to Robertson, Chris Robertson, for the Brandon Wheatkings.
Now what Robertson did right there was take it in on Furlan, made Furlan, did a deke move is what it's called, put Furlan on one side, committed him, and Robertson put it in on the other side.
16:15 to go in the first period. Here come the Wheatkings. It is Audette across the blue line. Another shot blocked by Furlan. Big, quick wrist shot from the right side, and Furlan blocked it. The Americans with the puck. It goes to Kutowitz. Kutowitz ahead to Nibbs. Calvin Nibbs for the Americans. Gets it ahead to Rennie. Rennie, a shot blocked by Kidd, and up into the glass it goes, down into the corner. Rennie had a clean breakaway, but Trevor Kidd came out and took away the angle. Rennie with it. Rennie to Catcher. Catcher a blast.
In the slot.
Into slot. And now we have a delay,
penalty.
a whistle, a holding call. Holding is the call. And it will be against the Brandon Wheatkings as Newman will go to the penalty box. Dwayne Newman, that one comes at 4:22 of the period. Brandon leading 1-0 over the Tri-City Americans. And now we have a 4-on-3 situation. For the Americans, it's Kutowitz and Catcher at the blue line with Barnes and LeBrun. For Brandon, it's Martin Basson with Brad Woods and Bob Woods. Puck is down. It comes out to Catcher at the point. Catcher gets it ahead to Barnes. Barnes' back check goes flat down. Brandon has it. Bob Woods takes it across the point. Bob Woods across the blue line, leaves it behind for Basson. Basson into the corner. He gets slammed into the corner by Catcher, and the Americans reset. And here comes LeBrun. LeBrun across the blue line. LeBrun takes it in on Kidd, whips around the net. Sean LeBrun brings it out to Kutowitz at the point. Cutter goes right to Catcher. Catcher back to Kutowitz. Kutowitz looks at a shot. Goes to LeBrun. It's deflected into the corner and there to Barnes. Barnes to Catcher in the slot. Catcher shot blocked. Good defensive play by the Wheaties. Comes back out to Cutter at the point. And it goes into the neutral ice area. Back for it is Trent Catcher. And the Americans will now have a two-man advantage in 1 second as the penalty will end. And out comes Rob Krause. But it's Bob Woods taking it into the Americans' end for the Wheaties. Shoots it around behind the Tri-Cities net. Frank Furlan wearing his new mask tonight that he and trainer Jim Craig assembled. Goes now to Jakes. Jakes whips it around the boards left to right. Goes to LeBrun. LeBrun with it. Back into the boards and Barnes after it. All the way around right to left.
We're going to have a penalty.
And we'll have a penalty on Barnes for hooking, I believe.
That's it.
Number 26, Cam Brown. As Barnes gives up a 5-on-3 opportunity by hooking. Well, the Americans have had their share of penalty problems already. 5:41 of the period for the penalty. Well, it'll be a 4-on-3 situation as the penalty to Kevin Shovel-Dayoff continues to wind down. 41 seconds remaining in the penalty to Newman, and that'll just about end the situation. The Americans are 0 for 2 in power plays so far. We've had a lot of penalties already. One fight, game misconduct to Shovel-Dayoff, Volquette for roughing, Krause and Barnes for hooking, and Newman for holding already. Puck out at the point on the draw. Comes out to Jakes. Has it stripped away. Jakes with it to Krause. Krause feeds it to Rennie. Rennie into the slot. Had it knocked away by Brandon. Wheatkings dump it the length of the ice. Back into the Americans' end. Furlan comes out. It's still a 4-on-3 situation. Wide open ice. In it comes Rennie. Rennie with it. Pulls up along the left wing boards. Goes to Jakes. Jakes back to Rennie. Steve Rennie with it. He loses it to the quick stick of Kennedy. And they get it in alongside the net. Trevor Kidd comes out to bury it and stop the play. 3 seconds remaining, and the penalty to Dwayne Newman. And then it'll be a 4-on-4 as the Americans' power play will evaporate. What a golden opportunity. A 5-minute major misconduct to Shovel-Dayoff. Getting him out of the game is a big step in the right direction for the Americans, all right. But an opportunity the Americans not able to capitalize on that big power play opportunity.
Exactly. And, you know, this is exactly what Coach John Oliver is trying to do. He's trying to not put so much emphasis on it, but when the opportunity arises, you've got to take it.
Brandon wins the draw. Wheatkings with it behind the net. Brad Woods. Woods up the boards. Centers a pass now to Bob Woods across the red line into the Americans, and just almost splits the defense, has to pass it off, and the Americans have it as Bob Woods wipes out. Catcher with it, gets it up to LeBrun, stolen away by Bob Woods. Bob Woods with it, back into the slot, a shot blocked by Ferland, and the Americans have it. LeBrun, Sean LeBrun down the boards, has it taken off his stick by Bob Woods. Bob Woods with it. Back now to Odgers. Odgers, a big drive from outside the blue line. Blocked by Ferland. LeBrun tries to flip it out of there. Brandon stays in. It's 4-on-4. Kutowicz back behind his own net. Barnes remains in the penalty box for 34 seconds. LeBrun with it. LeBrun tied up by Audette along the boards, and they'll freeze it there.
You know, Kirk, not to harp on the power play situation so much, but after an 0-for-7 evening on Sunday night, and we're already at
0-for-2.
0-for-2 tonight, you know, 0-for-9, that doesn't compute to some good statistics.
Well, no, a good power play should be scoring about a third of the time or a little bit less, and the Americans right now are scoring about a tenth of the time, about one time out of 10. 28 seconds remaining in the penalty to Barnes, 47 seconds in the penalty to Shovel-Dayoff. So the Americans will have about a 25-second power play opportunity here in about a minute or half a minute when Barnes comes onto the net. The face-off won by the Americans, dumped into the Tri-Cities end. Krause goes after it, and we'll have a penalty. Slashing is the call. Well, we'll see who the guilty party is. The referee comes over. Looks like an American.
Shane Cole.
Shane Cole, and that'll create the first Brandon. Comes to 7:22 of the period. Get you the referee's name here real quick like. Darren Loris is the referee tonight. And the faceoff will come to the right of Frank Ferland in the Americans' net. Spenrath will step in to take the draw for the Americans, and it will be right now a 4-on-3 opportunity as the Americans are without Barnes for another 19 seconds. So Brandon with a man advantage, but it's 4-on-3. Wheatkings win the draw. Comes out to Basson. Basson goes right to Woods, back to Basson, a drive blocked by Spenrath. Goes into the corner and picked out of there quickly by Robertson. Robertson has Brandon's only goal. Head of the slot, leaves it behind now for Woods. Woods slides it to Robertson. He fans on it, and the Americans dump it the length of the ice. Barnes steps out of the box. Barnes on a breakaway. Barnes, a shot.
Stu Barnes.
Boy, they couldn't have done that better.
Stu Barnes just stepped out of the penalty box. It was like they were waiting for him, threw it up the ice, and down and deking out Trevor Kidd, the phenom for Brandon, and it looked like power against power right there, Kirk.
Well, it happened just as the teams went to 4-on-4. Both goals scored in 4-on-4 situations. You can't really call that a power play goal or a shorthanded goal because the penalty to Barnes ran out. The pass from Spenrath to Barnes actually passed into the penalty box. Stewie stepped out, picked it up, and down he went on Kidd. Or Krause, rather, gets the assist. The Americans with it. McNutt chips it in toward the net. Krause getting the assist for the Americans. Beautiful pass, being hit by Delcourt. Down low behind the Brandon net. Wheatkings in a quick shift change. Brandon with it. Here comes Robertson. Has it stripped away by Jakes. Puck in the neutral ice area. Comes back out to Troy Kennedy. Kennedy around to the left wing boards. Kennedy has it leaves it behind. And Bob Woods has it. Woods centers it, stolen by Jakes. Here comes Jakes. 3-on-3. Jakes to Delcourt. He shot. It's blocked by Trevor Kidd. What a block by Kidd. Holy cow.
Played the man and the puck. It was beautiful. Trevor Kidd right there.
3 on nobody, and the Americans come up short. What a job by Trevor Kidd. Puck shot into the Americans' end. Jakes goes after it. Boy, that has to have you talking to yourself. We're tied at 1 here at the Tri-Cities Coliseum. Into the slot, a backhand shot taken by Kolchak, and it's wide of the net, just deflected by Ferland. Brandon on the attack. They have the man advantage now for 20 more seconds. This is Brandon's first power play of the night. Puck in behind the Tri-Cities net. Shot goes out to Nibs, but it's just across the blue line. Brandon Wheatkings with it. Troy Kennedy, or Gregor, gets it in behind the Americans' net, but Jakes is there. 4 seconds left in the penalty. Rennie run down from behind, trying to get to the puck. Fulquet walks right through and is pasted to the boards by Jakes. Here comes Shane Cole, and we have a whistle.
We have a whistle, and I believe that's a boarding call right there.
Kind of looked like it. Let's wait and see. It will go against the Americans if it is.
And we got a scrap going on, and it's Rob Krause.
That should be a good one. Krause and Kowalchuk. They are going to go for it. Krause shows him that big left hand.
Big
punch. One right on the side of the chin. Krause and Kowalchuk. Kowalchuk, 6 foot, 200 pounds. Krause getting in a couple of pops on Kowalchuk's head. Kowalchuk not able to connect very well, but Krause is really rocking him. Down goes another glove. Krause and Kowalchuk. Krause really taking Kowalchuk's measure on this one, and now the linesman will step in to kind of break it up.
Rob Krause gets my vote on that one.
Mine too. Krause score that one 8-3. Krause on points.
Now, Kirk, we haven't even gone through halfway through the first period yet. 2 fights, several penalties, and we've got a 1-1 hockey game. The people that came out to see the hockey game tonight sure aren't missing anything, are they?
No, they're seeing a great game. It's going to be a lot of fun, I think, before it's over. That was a pretty good battle between Krause and Kowalchuk. Brandon is frustrated. Of course, they've lost a bunch of games. They've lost 4 of the 5 games they've played here in the Western Division. They want to come out of here with a couple of wins.
Exactly, and you could definitely tell right there where
Krause gets 5 minutes for fighting, 2 minutes for roughing.
17, Sheldon Kowalchuk, 5 minutes for fighting. Time for the penalty.
So Krause gets the penalty as the instigator, and the Americans will be a man short. Brandon 0 for 1 on power plays. This is their second power play opportunity. Americans 0 for 3 on the night.
As I was saying, Kirk, you could definitely tell the frustration coming from Brandon right there. So far on this Western road swing, they are 1-4-0. And they lost a real heartbreaker the other night to the Spokane Chiefs, 6-5.
Well, that must have been a real brawl, too, at Spokane, because they like to go at it. It is Rennie with Catcher and Cole for the Americans, along with Calvin Nibs. Brandon on the power play. The Americans dump it back into the neutral ice area. And Brandon goes back for it. That's Basson. Basson getting it ahead now into the Tri-City zone, but Shane Cole there. Flips it down the ice, but Basson is there to cut it off. Brandon clears the zone. Shot down inside the Brandon blue line by the Americans, but Brandon back for it. Here comes Basson. Basson getting it to Gary Audette. Audette in the slot, has it knocked away, centered and slid right across the slot, goes off the boards.
And he had Dave Hunter sitting right there on the other side.
Bob Woods with it, gets it left to Mark Basson. Basson leaves it behind now for Dave Hunter. Hunter with the puck, number 19 for the Brandon Wheatkings. Hunter from Sylvan Lake, Alberta, onto the corner, and what a hit by Catcher. Catcher just upended Graham Garden. Here comes McNutt. One-on-one shot! Blocked by Trevor Kidd. Big shot by McNutt. He had a one-on-one. McNutt with a puck around behind the net. Brings it back out to Cutter. It's a drive! Blocked! In the slot, another poke at it by Kwiatkowski. And Trevor Kidd came out and made another great save. Here comes Graham Garden. Garden with it for Brandon to Hunter. Stick checked away from him. Pass goes right now to Bob Woods. Woods with it across the blue line. Bob Woods starts in, blocked off the puck. They get it in, score! Beautiful play by Brad Woods.
Now, Kirk, that play developed out there at the beginning. Shane Cole was totally left back at the blue line.
Well, he was. He was left completely out of the play, and it was a 2-on-1.
Scored by number 16, Chris Robertson. Assist to number 3, Bob Woods, and to number 23, Troy Kennedy.
Bob Woods and Kennedy.
And the goal scored by number 16, Chris Robertson.
And it comes at 10:54 of the period. a power play goal for Brandon, so they are 1 for 2 on power plays as Krause and Kowalchuk remain in the penalty box. Puck comes out to the boards. Tri-Cities with it. Now Brandon has it. They dig it off the boards. Robertson into the corner for it is Jakes, and he gets upended. Scramble for the puck down in the corner behind the Americans' net. Centered right in front of the net. Shot by number 23 Kennedy, and he scores. Goal. Rebound blocked the first one. The rebound went in.
Troy Kennedy.
8:48 in the first period is where that one comes.
The Tri-City fans are beginning to get a little restless.
Brandon leads 3-1 as the penalty comes at 11:12 of the period. Kennedy, and let's see who gets the assists. I'm not sure who's going to get the assist. Are you?
Well, I really didn't see what happened at the front there.
23, Troy Kennedy.
Here we go.
Assist to number 16, Chris Robertson.
16, Robertson gets the assist. There's Duval. Duval, a shot! Blocked by Kidd. Goes around behind the net. With it now is Brandon. The Wheatkings have it. Behind the net, Newman. Newman has it stolen away by Barnes. Barnes shoots it out into the slot. It's blocked by Brandon. Comes back out, and Cutterwitz dumps it into the Brandon end. Wheatkings have it, though. Across neutral ice, stolen by Duval. Duval with it in the neutral zone, waiting for the Americans to regroup. Comes to Cutterwitz. Cutterwitz for Tri-Cities. Gets it across the ice now to Devin Dirksen. Dirksen's pass stolen away by Cam Brown. Brown loses it to Catcher. Catcher, Duval. Duval has it, loses it in the neutral ice area, and Catcher's back for it. Catcher takes Bryce Wood into the boards. Catcher and Wood scramble for it along the boards. Catcher gets it out now. Catcher and Cutterwitz. Catcher loses it. Goes to Bryce Wood. Wood goes right to Odgers. Odgers, a shot goes around the net wide. He hit the post. And here come the Americans with it. They shoot it out to the point. Stolen there by Troy Frederick. Frederick shoots it in behind the Americans' net. Comes out along the boards. Nibbs goes after it. Back into the neutral zone. Barnes is after the puck. 3-1 Brandon in the first period. Catcher for the Americans. Goes to Cutterwitz. Cutterwitz with it. Cutterwitz tries to get it ahead to Delcourt. Off his stick. Goes into the Brandon end. McNutt after it. McNutt and Delcourt. Delcourt tries to get to the puck, but here comes Bryce Wood to dig it out. Wood works it along the boards. A big hit there on full cat by McNutt. McNutt with the puck. Now he loses it. Delcourt and Cutterwitz. Cutterwitz dumps it into the Brandon end. Goes in behind the Brandon net. Bob Woods has it. Woods out to the boards. Delcourt saves it. Delcourt to McNutt. Nutter centered, but there's nobody home. Chris Fulcat for Brandon. Fulcat gets it on the right now to Bob Frederick. Frederick takes a check, and the Americans steal it back. McNutt all over the ice. McNutt and Delcourt. Delcourt with it. Needs help. Can't get it. Here comes Brandon Audette. Gary Audette with it. But Audette will be triple teamed at the blue line. Has it taken away. No, Audette gets it back. Audette in the slot. Goes on the left. A one-time shot taken there by Dreger, and it's wide of the net. They go around, try to wrap it around. Ferland stick checks it away. And it's taken away by Steve Rennie. Doggers beats his man. Rennie, hook, centers it for Spinrath, and it's stolen away. No whistle. What does it take? It comes back out to the neutral ice area. All the way back for Cutterwitz. Cutter plays it out to the neutral area where Garden has it for the Brandon Wheatkings. Graham Garden. Garden gets it ahead now to Robertson. They shoot it into the slot, and the Americans steal it away once again. Good move there by Kwiatkowski to beat his man. Shot back into the Americans' end, and Catcher will bring it out. Catch shoots it off the glass about 6 feet in the air into the neutral area. Another big hit as Hunter goes after the puck. Dave Hunter with it. Hunter loses it to Rennie, and then Rennie will go to the bench on a shift change. Here comes Brandon Cam Brown. Brown dumps it into the right of the Americans' net. Ferland plays it back out. The Americans with it. Here comes the Americans 2-on-2. It is Robertson. Robertson splits the defense, loses the puck. Here comes Brandon once again. Cam Brown with it. Brown across center ice. Cutterwitz knocks the pass away. And we'll have a delayed offside call in just a second as the Americans will get control of the puck.
I believe it was washed out, Kurt.
Yeah, it was washed out. And here comes Catcher. Wouldn't make any sense to blow the whistle as Duval shoots it down into the Brandon end. In after it is Cam Brown. Brown in after it. It comes back up now to Troy Kennedy. Kennedy goes right to Basson. Pass into Odgers. Odgers has it stolen away by Shane Cole. Cole dumps it in for the Americans. Goes in behind the Brandon net. Played back along the glass. Out to the point. No, Cole won't get it. Goes to Odgers instead. Odgers leaves a pass behind for Basson, and it's taken away from him by Cole. Shane Cole playing some hard-nosed D for the Americans as LeBrun takes a hit. We have a whistle. Gloving. Puck was gloved ahead. And we will have a face-off where the gloving occurred. It was gloved ahead by the Americans. Face-off will come outside the Brandon blue line.
Kirk, do you believe that any of the pregame activities have kind of held over until this evening? Do you believe that the Americans here are a little bit slower?
Letdown? Yeah, I think so. I think you can really kind of feel that. McNutt facing off against Basson. Basson wins the draw to Bob Woods. Here's Basson. Basson goes left now to Whistle. Bill Whistle, they start in on Ferlin and block the shot. People in the crease and will have a whistle as Ferlin goes down on his back to block the puck. Ferlin is amazing.
He's in a spread eagle position down there, and how he stopped it, unreal.
Good work by Shane Cole, who did a lot of the work on that one for the Tri-City Americans. Good D by Cole.
Very good.
Trying to move his man out of the way. Face-off will come to the left of Frank Ferlin. Taking the face-off for the Americans is McNutt against Basson. Dumped back in behind the Americans' net. Back with it is Catcher. Catcher ahead now to Nibbs. Nibbs cross-ice pass for Rick Fry, and Trevor Kidd comes out to freeze it. Kidd way out of the net to freeze the puck as Rick Fry comes charging in on him.
I think that was a good play by Trevor Kidd as well, because Fry was right there on top of it and had just about a half a skate length ahead of the Brandon defense.
And that he did. The Tri-City Americans and Brandon Wheatkings, the Wheaties leading 3-1 in this period. Oh my. On the face-off, McNutt against Wood. Puck loose, slides in toward the net, chipped out of there by Trevor Kidd. Centered, McNutt at drive! Just deflected wide of the net, and Fulkett has it for Brandon. Fulkett to Price Wood. Wood upended by Krause at the blue line, and we have a whistle. Price Wood, 6'3", listed at 180 pounds. He could very well be. Looked like Rob Krause was considering taking the measure of him there. Decided against it.
He's John a little bit, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, and he put a knee into Krause, and that's not really something you want to do unless you're prepared to back it up.
And Rob has got the old stare down right now over there at Fulkett.
Boy, he's looking at Fulkett. He says, come on, big guy, we'll take it on you.
Look at that.
He's chased. He has looked Fulkett out of the face-off circle twice now. Fulkett against Barnes, or check it, not Fulkett, it's Price Wood. Goes to Barnes. Fulkett also on the ice. Krause with it back of the blue line. Tried to get a pass across the blue line, lost it, but Barnes is there. Here comes Barnes into the neutral zone. Barnes with it. Barnes taken down.
We have a penalty.
3 men, will have a penalty.
There's no doubt about that. Holding penalty.
Yep. Barnes. Actually, it was a pretty good tackle, really.
Yeah, that's true. 1st and 10.
Comes at 16:15 of the period, and it will be called against number 17, Kowalchuk.
You can tell where Stu Barnes' stick handling is just absolutely phenomenal. He's kind of shows shades of the old Wayne Gretzky is idle there, doesn't he?
Well, he does, and of course you can see that the Wheatkings respect that. Frank Ferlin goes over to the bench to have a quick word with Jim Craig.
2 minutes for hooking.
Kowalchuk gets it for a hooking, and the puck stolen away by Brandon at neutral ice. Back to the Americans. Catcher keeps it in play. Goes to Duval on the left wing boards. Duval tied up by 2 Wheatkings, and Barnes has the puck. Barnes with it. Barnes stick handling into the slot. Has it taken out of there by Duval now as 2 Wheatking defensemen work on the penalty killing unit. Catcher in the slot, drives it down the slot, but he can't get it down far enough to get it to Spenrad. Spinrath behind the net now. Spinner brings it around. Tried to center it for Catcher. Can't do it. Catcher brings it out to Barnes. Barnes back out to Kutowicz. To Barnes. Minute 15 remaining in the penalty. Stu Barnes back to Kutowicz. Cutter, a big shot. Blocked out front by the body of Kennedy. Kennedy doing a good job. Puck goes behind the net. Shot back out to the point. Catcher to Kutowicz. Cutter, drive wide of the net. Stick save by Trevor Kidd once again. And Duval takes it out. Murray Duval brings it back up to Kutowicz. Kutowicz right. Catcher into Barnes, and Barnes can't get to it. Goes in behind the net once again. Spinrath to Duval. Duval right out front now. Catcher. Barnes on the left wing. Barnes slides it in, loses it off his stick to Bob Woods. Back out to Catcher. Skate. Kicks it into the slot, and Brandon saves it back into the neutral area. Great defensive job by Troy Kennedy. Now it's dumped back toward the Brandon zone, and the Wheatkings have it as Kennedy shoots it all the way into the Americans' end. Brandon's Bryce Wood goes in after it, wipes out, and the Americans have the puck. Tri-Cities with it. It is Kutowicz. Kutowicz to Steve Jakes. Jakes with it. Up into neutral ice. Stolen away by Bryce Wood. A shot scored! Mark Basson. Basson from Bryce Wood.
Bryce Wood, a behind-the-back pass over to Basson, and
great pass.
Unbelievable pass. I mean, to have the presence to pass it behind his back like that and know that Basson was going to be there. As a matter of fact, Mark Basson has a brother, Bob Basson, who plays for the New York Islanders.
Well, that's Basson's 12th goal of the year. He has 11, had 11 coming into tonight's game, 17 assists. And it's 4-1. The Americans on their way to get buried here. And at 48 remaining in the period, goes in behind the Brandon net as they scramble for it. Brandon with the puck comes out along the boards, out to Rob Krause as it, dumped back in there by Newman. Newman has it. Nibbs digging at it. Nibbs, now it's buried as it slides underneath. Number 4, Dwayne Newman for the Wheatkings. Newman had Kwiatkowski land on top of him, and all of a sudden, 4-1 is a little ugly this early in the game.
It certainly is, Kirk. And as a matter of fact, Coach Sauter for the Brandon Wheatkings knew by taking the crowd out early, he would have the Brandon's team looking real good as far as that goes.
Well, that was one of the things that he wanted to accomplish.
That's right.
And the faceoff will come to the right of the Brandon goal. Kwiatkowski, Rennie, and Nibbs. Rennie to take the draw, loses it to Frederick. Troy Frederick brings it up for Brandon. Frederick across the blue line. Pass goes into Audette and a whistle. Audette was in a little early. Gary Audette goes in early for the Wheatkings. And it's 4-1. Brandon leading the Tri-City Americans. Minute 18 to go. Faceoff will come back outside the Tri-Cities blue line.
You know, the Tri-City Americans have got to be careful now. They cannot get so frustrated. They're behind at home, and by a good margin. Shane Cole went pretty high with his elbow right there as the Brandon Wheatkings advanced it across the blue line.
Well, the Brandon Wheatkings leading 4-1 into the Tri-Cities end as Newman shoots it in as the Wheatkings win the draw. Goes to Krause. Krause behind the net. Rod Krause shoots it out for the Americans. Goes to Dirksen. Devin Dirksen checked off the puck, but Robertson there to get it across the blue line. Now it's dumped back into the Americans' end. Shane Cole waiting. Dumps it in behind the Brandon net. Goes all the way into the corner. Glove by Krause. Krause's shot blocked by Trevor Kidd. Fry tried to center it to Robertson. Goes right between his skates. Cole! Big drive! It hit the post. Oh, my. 43 seconds to go. 4-1 the score. Shane Cole had a sure one, and now icing will be called against the Wheatkings. Oh, my, oh, my.
From up here, Kirk, I would have swore that hit the back of the net and bounced right back out into the ice.
Well, I would have thought so, too, but it's not physically possible for it to do that. What it did was hit the crossbar right behind Shane Cole. Now, the crossbar and the puck are almost the same size, so that's how small a target Shane Cole had to hit.
Trevor
proves
Kidd,
once again that Lady Luck is not really a nice lady.
Trevor Kidd is certainly impressing me this evening.
He is. Basson and McNutt to face off left of Trevor Kidd, and Basson wins the draw. Woods around behind the Brandon goal. Here comes McNutt with a big hit, and the puck goes loose into the neutral area to Colin Ruck. Ruck for the Americans, loses it, gets it right back, shoots it back into the neutral area, but his pass stolen away and a whistle. will have an offside against Brandon as the Wheatkings keeping a lot of pressure on. That time, Ruck tried to pass it right through Price Wood, and he didn't hit it anywhere near hard enough to make it go clear through. 4-1 the score. The Brandon Wheatkings leading the Tri-City Americans. You know, this is the score Brandon won by last time these two teams played back in Brandon. McNutt wins the draw against Basson. McNutt gets it out to Catcher. Wasn't pretty, but it worked. Catcher with it. Band on it. Basson trying to take it away. Now Catcher will dump him. Taken away by Brandon. Cam Brown gets it on the right to Odgers. Odgers loses it, and the Americans dump it back into the Brandon end.
The Brandon Wheatkings must practice that behind the back pass like that. That's the second one I've seen here in just a matter of 2 minutes.
Well, one of them got him a goal, and now the icing call will go against the Tri-City Americans. We'll bring it back down and face off to the left of Frank Furlan.
For those of you that are keeping statistics, Stu Barnes has just now made a point in 6 consecutive games with that goal that he made earlier this evening.
From Kraus just as the penalty ended. 4-1 the score. 2 seconds remaining in the period. Brandon leading the Tri-City Americans. This is not pretty, folks. Face off to the left of Frank Furlan to take the draw for the Americans is Rennie. He'll face it off against Robertson. Rennie wins the draw, and time runs out as the puck drops. So at the end of the first period, it's 4-1. Brandon leading the Tri-City Americans. And we'll see if we can't get the shots on goal for you momentarily. But at the end of the first period, it's Brandon 4, Tri-Cities 1. Back in 2 minutes on this KOTY Americans hockey broadcast.
Around the world in 30 minutes, this is...
On Thanksgiving Day, on Thursday, the Tri-City Americans will host the Portland Winterhawks, who are really phenomenal. They will be a lot of fun to watch. There's a lot of talent on that team. Glenn Hubbard and Troy Mick, and they will be here on Thursday night, game time, 7 o'clock. So we invite you to join us then here in the Tri-Cities Coliseum. The box office is open from 9 to 7 tomorrow. If you're in the building tonight, of course, you can buy tickets after tonight's game for the game on Thursday. In fact, the Americans ticket office has tickets available for all upcoming Tri-City Americans home games. Also, incidentally, for the Rich Little show, which will take place on December the 6th, the grand opening of the new Tri-Cities Coliseum. And to start the period, it will be Stu Barnes with Duval and LeBrun against Basson with Cam Brown and Jeff Odgers. Barnes wins the draw. The Americans with the puck. Quick back checking by Brandon. Gets it up into the neutral ice area. Barnes fans at it. Shoots it down into the Brandon end. Down along the boards now. The Brandon Wheatkings with it. Wheatkings back out to the blue line. Kraus a shot. Blocked by Trevor Kidd. Out to the blue line where Rob Kraus took a poke at it. And it was blocked by the Brandon goalie, Trevor Kidd. Another great save by Kidd.
Kirk, I just received the shots on goal for the first period, and to everybody's amazement, Tri-Cities outshot Brandon 16-9.
Considering that Brandon leads 4-1, that's sort of absolutely amazing. Americans with it out at the blue line. They whip it around the boards. Brandon will get it. Here come the Wheatkings. This is Cam Brown. Brown, 2-on-1, shoots a pass to the right side to Odgers. Odgers is hammered into the boards by Duval, and the puck taken out of there by Barnes. Barnes losing it back along the boards into the neutral zone, and we have a whistle. Whistle comes along the boards. The Americans making a quick shift change. It is Spenrath along with Kwiatkowski and Rennie as the front line for the Americans. Blue liners will be Kutowitz. The other blue liner for you, Kutowitz and Catcher. Rennie will face off for the Americans against Gary Audette. Puck's down. Rennie wins it, draws it behind him to Kutowitz. Cutter goes back after it around behind his own goal. Furlan, the magician tonight, wearing that new face mask. Fiberglass job that was just assembled for him over the last couple 3 weeks. Takes time to build one of those as Rennie gets it in the neutral ice area for the Americans, and it's iced, or frozen rather, along the boards. Puck is frozen along the boards, and it will come out for a face-off, but the face-off dot just outside the Tri-Cities blue line.
I was just noticing Graham Garden and Greg Spenrath were kind of talking to each other a little bit over there by the Brandon box over there.
Garden's been chirping at just about everybody on the ice.
Certainly has.
He's been a busy man. Audette against Wheatkings. And the draw won by nobody as Spenrath and Wheatkings dig at it. Now the Americans get it as Rennie gets wood on it. Catcher, but Catcher's going to be run down from behind by Hunter. Catch gets it out along the boards. Taken off the dasher board by Wheatkings. Wheatkings into neutral ice. Shoots a pass ahead to Spenrath. Spenner goes after it. Trevor Kidd taking a look at it for Brandon as Spenrath pastes his man into the boards. Brad Woods. The Americans with it out at the point. Catcher keeping it in play. Goes to Rennie, now back to Catcher outside the blue line. The Americans wheel back out, and Catcher dumps it in behind the net. Puck's loose, Spenrath with it. Spinner centers, Wheatkings, a shot! Blocked by Trevor Kidd! My goodness, but a block by Kidd!
Trevor Kidd again showing why he is the #1 goalie in the WHL.
Holy cow, what a save by Kidd. Point blank range, and it won't go in the hole.
3.02 goals against on Trevor Kidd, #1.
Well, it's up a little bit from what it was before. It's been kind of a tough road trip for the young man. He's 16. 16.
Quite a future ahead of him.
He won't even be eligible for the NHL draft until a year from this June.
You know, he almost taunts at the players, you know, when he slaps the stick down, says, come on, I want you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's very confident. There are ways to take that out of it. Well, Robertson wins the draw, but it goes to the Americans, and now stolen away by Frederick. Frederick, 2-on-2, has it tapped away by Krause, is back in a hurry. Krause with it, leaves it for McNutt. McNutt around to Jakes. Jakes ahead now to Delcourt. Delcourt, 2-on-2. Deli goes left to Nibbs. Nibbs a drive! Blocked by Trevor Kidd. Rebound out to Frederick. But it goes to the Americans. To Rennie. Score!
It deflected right off a Bob Wood stick and up into the upper part on the upper glove side. And look at him dance out there.
Nibbs has probably the hardest shot on the team. One of the harder shots in the league. The goal will go to Calvin Nibbs. It comes at 2:04 of the period, which is just what the doctor ordered for the Tri-City Americans. Nibbs took a big slap just outside to the right of the slot. And that's Nibber's 4th goal.
And listen to this crowd.
The young man from Bow Island, Alberta, his dad, Bert Nibbs, is here. Krause gets the assist, and Robertson wins the draw for the Americans. To Fry, but Brandon steals it away. They shoot it back into the Americans' end. Krause is there, and we have a whistle.
That sure was a pretty slap shot, too.
A penalty against, looks like Fry. Tripping.
Fry, 2 minutes for tripping.
And the penalty comes at 2:13 of the period. A little bit of booing and hollering there, but a good call by the referee. I wondered why that player all of a sudden disappeared from my eyesight, and the reason was he was gone. Darren Laras, the referee tonight. Brandon with the puck. Out into the slot, a shot by Robertson, blocked out front by Jakes. Jakes giving up the body to that big slap shot. Goes around behind the Americans' net. Big crunching check by Krause as they try to shoot it back down the length of the ice, and now Krause belts it out of there. Goes all the way down into the Brandon end. Back down after it is Nibbs. Calvin Nibbs around behind the net. Nibbs tied up by Basson. Basson gets the puck ahead now to Robertson. Here comes Chris Robertson. He has 2 goals on the night, working on the hat trick. Gets it to Frederick. Frederick slides it across the slot. Rennie dumps his man, Kennedy. And Brandon with it out at the blue line. Basson slides it right across the slot, left to right. Comes back out to the point. Chipped back into play by Brandon. Here comes Robertson in the slot. Can't get it to happen. And Rennie knocks it away.
We have another penalty, and it looks like a slashing call.
Well, let's see. It's going to go against Calvin Nibbs. Oh, my.
This is not good.
Brandon.
2 minutes for
their third power play, and now they'll have a fourth power play. Penalty comes at 3 minutes 12 seconds of the period. And the Wheatkings on a 5-on-3 power play opportunity. That's all the players you can lose. It can't get any worse than that, but that's about as worse as you'd ever want it. 1 minute and 1 second of a two-man advantage for Brandon. The Wheaties win the draw. Robertson brings it out now to Basson. Basson slides it in front of the slot, intended for Frederick. Stolen away by the Americans and knocked the length of the ice. Tri-Cities resets the defense. Penalty killers, Catcher, Kutowitz, and Spenrath. Pretty hard-nosed guys in there right now for the Americans. 41 seconds remaining in the penalty as Basson brings it down across the blue line. Basson out to the point now to Bob Woods, top of the slot. Back to Basson, to Woods. Woods looks at a shot, slides it down instead to Troy Kennedy. Kennedy back up front now to Bob Woods. Woods right to Basson. Basson with it. Kutowitz on him, takes him to the boards. Basson shoots it in behind the net. Brandon with it to Robertson. Robertson in the corner. Tries to get around Spenrath. They center it, and Kutowitz steals it away for the Americans. Now Spenrath shoots at the length of the ice once again. Only 11 seconds remaining in the power play. In the two-man advantage for Brandon. Tri-Cities killing a two-man advantage. It goes now to Garden. Graham Garden loses it again to Kutowitz. Good job by Cutter. And now Fry's back on the ice for the Americans. A 5-on-4 power play. Brandon with it. Wheatkings get it out. Audette brings it out, has it stolen away by Fry. Fry knocks it the length of the ice, and Trevor Kidd will play it back to a teammate. Kidd leaves it behind for Basson. Mark Basson bringing it out. Goes left now to Bob Woods. Woods with it across the neutral ice area. One-man advantage for Brandon Woods. Across the defense, and he wipes out. It goes left to Odgers. Odgers shot blocked by the Americans defense. Up front now to Basson. Basson right one time, block! Ferland loose, scored! Blocked by Ferland, but it dropped right in the crease. And a score by Graham Garden.
And if there was a goal that Frank Ferland is going to feel, it's got to be that one right there. And he's still hanging his head low onto that post.
He gave up a rebound. It went right straight up in the air, fell down to his right, his stick hand, and Garden was only 2 steps away to drive it home, and Ferland was absolutely helpless.
That's where you depend on your defenseman to be back there to clear that puck out of the way.
And there was nobody home. Brandon with a man advantage. They score the power play goal.
And Mark Basson found the goal, 4:50.
Basson, who got the other assist? Mark Basson getting one. Comes at 4:50 of the period. We'll get the other assist here in a second. And it's 5-2. Brandon leading the Tri-City Americans. Face-off will be Barnes and Price Wood. On the face-off, a whistle, slashing, called by Darren Loras, and it will go against the Tri-City Americans. Murray Duval. The third penalty in the period. And it comes at 4:53. Bob Woods getting the other assist for the Wheaties.
2 minutes each for slashing. The time up.
Well, it's a simultaneous penalty. Polkett also getting it. Simultaneous penalty, which means that neither team is penalized a player. Actually, neither team is penalized a player. It's 5-on-5. Americans win the draw. LeBrun with it. Has to work against his own teammate to get it. Krause. Now it goes to LeBrun. Behind the net. Brunner with it. Brings it out.
We're going to have a delayed penalty right there.
Plays it off the
Tripping
skates.
penalty.
Penalty coming up. And it will go against Brandon. As the referee, Darren Loras, will puts the hand in the air and waits. It'll be a trip.
Brandon Wheatkings penalty to number 19, Dave Hunter.
Goes against Hunter. A 2-minute penalty, and it comes at 5:12 of the period. 5-2. The Brandon Wheatkings leading the Tri-City Americans. Kirk Williamson along with Tony Ott. And Tony, the Americans showing a little bit more spark here in the second period. They came out real flat, but they seem to be getting it back together.
You know, and that line for Brandon of Basson, Frederick, and Robertson combined this year have well over 100 points between all three of them.
Yeah, that's a big line that did a bunch of damage before. in the a bunch of damage when the Americans played at Brandon. The scoreboard says, hey, it's time to get the railroad rolling here, as Catcher takes the face-off behind the Tri-Cities net. Gets it ahead now to Barnes. Here comes Barnes on the power play. Barnes gets it into Catcher, and it's slapped away by Brandon. Dreger buries it behind the Tri-Cities net. Out to Spenrath as Ferlin plays it. Brandon steals it away along the boards, and Kutowitz has to go back for it. Tri-Cities on the power play. Minute and a half remaining in the power play. LeBrun back behind the net to get it. Shot LeBrun. Headman pass to Barnes. It goes into the corners. A little hot for Barnes. To LeBrun around behind the net, but Brandon there. The Wheatkings trying to ice it back the length of the ice. Can't do it. Catcher. Cross ice pass now to Barnes. Barnes out along the right wing boards. Barnes with it. Back up front now to Kutowitz, to Catcher, back to Cutter. Cutter, a drive! It's deflected wide of the net. Goes around to LeBrun. LeBrun tried to center it. Goes to a Brandon Wheatking off his skate, and it's shot the length of the ice by the Wheatkings.
Kutowitz just about took off Spenrath's head on that shot, too.
And it comes quickly back out to LeBrun as they catch Brandon in a shift change, but Barnes is in early, and LeBrun will have to wait. He wheels through the neutral ice area. LeBrun around behind the net to Kwiatkowski. Kiwi goes around with it. Tries to get it to LeBrun. LeBrun nearly loses it. Saved at the point now by Kraus. Back to Barnes. Tri-Cities with a man advantage for a half a minute. Barnes with it. Back out now to Rob Kraus. Kraus a drive! And it's blocked away by Brandon. Good defensive play by Price Wood, who gave up the body on that big slap shot by Kraus. 24 seconds remaining. Back behind the net goes Wood. Tries to take it away from Catcher, but Catcher gets it out. Catcher and Nibs bring it up. Catch dumps it up into the corner. Kwiatkowski going after it, takes a whack at it. Saved at the blue line by Nibs. Nibs shoots it into the corner. Kwiatkowski with it. Darren Kwiatkowski plays it off his skate. Gets it out now to Jakes. Back to Kiwi. Kwiatkowski can't handle a pass. Penalties over. Brandon back to full strength. Here comes Nibs. Nibs back up to Rob Kraus. Loses it to Bryce Woods. Woods intercepts the pass. Shoots it off the boards. Charging in a hurry is number 9, Basson, and he's upended by Frank Ferlin. Ferlin let him trip right over the stick. Here comes Rennie. Dogger across the blue line. Rennie in on catch. Shoots, scores! Steve Rennie!
I think they're going to disallow it. I think they're going to disallow it for Rennie. Pushed it with his glove.
They are. They're washing it out. They're going to wipe this one out. Oh, my, oh, my.
And that's exactly what it is.
Let's get the PA announcement from... You heard the announcement from Kevin Gallant. Goal is disallowed. It was gloved into the net. Didn't hit it with his stick. My, oh, my. 5-2. Goal called back.
What else?
Yeah, that's when you need the crowd, and that's the thing the Americans haven't had, is the crowd before. Brandon wins the draw, shoots it into the Americans' end. Ferlin plays it out, but look, there's a Brandon Wheatking to take a whack at it from the side. Almost rolled in, but Duval's there. 1-on-3. Murray Duval. Duval across the blue line is tied up there by Robertson, and the Wheatkings have it. Brandon with it, back into the neutral ice area. Delcourt shoots it back into the Brandon end. Trevor Kidd comes out to play it. Kidd leaves it behind the net. Puck goes along the boards. Big hit. There's a hit from behind on Catcher. Scramble for it along the boards. It's shot down into the Brandon end along the left wing boards. Duval out to Cole. Cole tried to center it for Delcourt. Delcourt couldn't get to it. Greg Delcourt with it now. Leaves it behind for McNutt. Nutter pounded into the boards in the corner. The Americans with it. Here comes Duval. Duval back out to Shane Cole. Cole! Slap shot deflected just wide of the net. A drive from the corner by Shane Cole. Another big hit for the Americans. A shot by Kraus, blocked by Kidd, and this time he'll freeze it in the glove. And now we're going to have Murray Duval and Cam Brown. Brown is taking off the helmet. He's ready to go to the races here, but Duval will back away. Trevor Kidd out of the net.
And Trevor Kidd has, now this just goes to show you how confident he is. He has stick drop, and he picked up a forward stick and blocked the shots with a regular hockey stick instead of the goalie stick.
11:20 to go. This kid is something. 11:20 to go in the period. 5-2 the score. Tell me, you think you'll see Trevor Kidd in the National Hockey League?
Well, Kirk, what I've seen so far this evening, Mr. Kidd is no kid.
Well, and he's 6'1", he's 170 pounds roughly. A good weight coach. You'll have a lot of fun with him.
Exactly.
5-2, the Americans trailing the Brandon Wheatkings. Barnes on the face-off against Robertson. Robertson wins the draw. Gets it right back. Brandon with it. They break it out quickly. Frederick across the neutral zone. Shoots it into the corner. Ferland goes back to play it for the Americans. Plays it out around the boards to a teammate. Goes to the point. A shot. But Barnes is there to block it. Puck's in the air. And a whistle. Gloving will be called against the Wheatkings in this case. And they'll go just outside the Americans' blue line as the puck was gloved ahead again by the Wheatkings. 11:01 to play in the period. Well, the Americans came out and Calvin Nibbs lit the lamp 2 minutes into the period on a great pass from Rob Krause. But then Garden comes back to score for Brandon. The Americans have one taken away. They win the draw. It's 5-2. Tri-Cities with it. LeBrun across the blue line. Centers for Barnes. Stolen away there by Robertson. Robertson's pass goes right to Kennedy. Troy Kennedy looks at a shot. Won't take it. Checked off it by Kutowitz. Catcher and Kutowitz. Big hit by Spinrath. Oh, did he lay some people out. Shot wide of the goal by Brandon. Now the Americans with it. LeBrun. LeBrun gets it ahead to Spinrath. They whack at it across the blue line. LeBrun there will dump it into the Brandon end. Kidd will play it off to a teammate. Plays it off to Newman. Newman with it behind his own goal. Newman shoots a pass out the right side now. Goes to Kennedy. Troy Kennedy up the boards. Dumps it into the Americans' end.
Line change right now for Brandon.
Brandon leading 5-2. Pass back out to the neutral area, and Brad Woods there to dump it back in. But catcher for the Americans. Catcher to Kutowitz. Cutter to LeBrun. LeBrun wasn't looking. Played it off his skate. LeBrun gets it back to Catcher. Catcher nearly loses it in the slot as it slides down on Ferland. Volquette goes in after it. And now the puck is tied up along the boards out to the point. A big drive! Blocked by Kowalchuk. Take a whack at it. Almost got it in. Wouldn't go. Another one. Blocked by Ferland, and the Americans clear it.
The magician does it again.
He certainly did. Barnes takes it down, and Brandon ties him up at the blue line. Here come the Wheaties. Kowalchuk. Kowalchuk dumps it in behind the Americans' net. Brandon, a big shot one time. Blocked off the stick of Odgers. And it goes back in behind the net. Odgers stepped out of the team box and took a belt at it. Out to the point. Another shot one time. Blocked by Ferland. Drager from the point. Here come the Americans. Robertson upended in the neutral ice area. And we'll have a whistle against Brandon. A two-line pass against the Americans in this case.
And that was an excellent hip check out there.
Oh, boy. Robertson just got turned straight upside down.
Dredger was the one that put the great hip check out there in front of the attack zone.
9:06 remaining. Another fine hockey game tonight for the Tri-City Americans. They're losing 5-2 to the Brandon Wheatkings, but they're playing better this period. Showed some of the effects of that great opening on Sunday, Tony, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. And as a matter of fact, the Tri-City fans here need to get going. They need to get behind the team a little bit and show some noise. That was
a little noise wouldn't hurt.
That was a definite influence the other night.
Well, they're taking a little bit of time now to do a little bit of ice work in front of the crease, in front of Frank Ferland. And while they're doing that, we'll take time out. 30 seconds on this KOTY Americans hockey broadcast.
Dave, did you see this flyer in our cable TV bill?
No, honey.
Express Exchange. It's a new cable service that connects right to our personal computer. We get stock quotes, news, educational and shopping information, sports updates.
Sounds expensive.
No, that's the best part. There's no extra monthly charge.
Exchange. How soon can we get it?
Call 1-800-7PC-NEWS for Exchange today.
Brandon wins the faceoff. Here comes Robertson, looks at a shot, can't get it, strips the defense, another shot from the right side of the slot, blocked by Furlan. Comes out to the blue line, now into the neutral ice area. The Americans go after it in a hurry. Comes to Jakes. Jakes with the glove, now into the neutral area. Jakes checked off the puck, but it goes to Kwiatkowski. Kwiatkowski into the corner. Robertson goes in after it. Shot around behind the boards, and the Wheatkings around after it. Odgers. Jeff Odgers will bring it out 2-on-2. Here comes Odgers. Odgers and Basson. A pass to Basson, knocked away by Kraus. Furlan shoots it off the boards. Here come the Americans. Kevin Robertson out with it. Robertson, his father's also in town, goes to Dirksen. Dirksen loses it to a big body check by Newman. And the puck goes in behind the Brandon net. Wheatkings have it. Here come the Wheaties. Audette with it. Audette, 1-on-3. Slides it down into the corner. Jakes will go after it. Lined up by Gardner, and Jakes gets out of there in a hurry. Steve Jakes with the puck. Jakes shoots it around the boards, up in the air, into the neutral ice area. The Americans chase it. Brad Woods back for it. Woods to Hunter. Hunter's pass misses and dumped into the Americans' end. Kraus goes after it. Popped by Brandon Drager, and it comes back out to the neutral area. The Americans trying to get it. Rennie tied up along the boards. Puck goes into the corner. Nibbs for it. Nibbs takes a shot at it, but it comes back out to Graham Garden. Garden for Brandon. Wheatkings keep it alive as Bob Woods goes in behind the net. Now played out of there, or tried to, was Hunter, and the Americans steal it. Spenrath out to Catcher. Catcher a drive. Blocked by Brandon's Garden. Garden off his stick. Plays it ahead now to Audette. Audette with it. Audette goes in around, tried to center it, and it's knocked away. The Americans with it. Good defensive play by Tri-Cities.
Shane Cole put him into the board.
Van Rath shoots it ahead for Nibbs. Americans at a quick shift change. Here comes Brandon. Brad Woods with it out to the neutral zone. And Robertson comes out. But Furlan plays it off the boards to LeBrun. LeBrun to Barnes. Barnes 2-on-1 to LeBrun. LeBrun pulls up short. Tried to center it to Duval. Back to LeBrun. A shot is blocked straight up in the air. It'll be gloved down by Barnes. They try to get it out. Out of the corner it comes. For Brandon. Here comes Brandon. 2-on-2. A big drive, and it goes into the crowd. Look out, folks. Coming your way. That one played off a stick as Shane Cole took a blast at it.
I think that just stenciled section U C8 with WHL all over it.
Oh, he banged that one. 6:33 to play in the second period. Brandon leading 5-2. We've had 2 goals scored in the period. Nibbs came out and scored for the Americans 2 minutes into the period, and then Brandon turned right around. A power play goal. Garden from Bob Woods and Basson. And he makes it a 5-2 hockey game. Americans win the draw. Both teams at full strength. Pass to LeBrun. LeBrun has it stripped away by Dreger. Dreger shoots it into the Americans' end. Furlan goes back behind the net after it. He'll play out along the glass, but it's stopped by Troy Kennedy. Kennedy gets it to Frederick. Frederick and Kennedy in along the corner. Catcher pins Kennedy to the boards, and they Tri-City Americans with the puck. Catcher comes back out to Barnes. Barnes to Duval. Duval takes it in and is wiped out, and we'll have a penalty.
For sure on that.
Tripping penalty as soon as Brandon gets control of the puck. Barnes centers, but LeBrun can't get to it. Now LeBrun has it in the corner. It'll be a penalty as soon as Brandon gets control of the puck. Barnes with it. Out to Shane Cole. Cole goes left to Catcher. Catcher tried to get it into Spenrath. Can't. Barnes with it in the corner. Barnes with it. Back up to Cole, and now Brandon has it, and that will give us the penalty.
On a delayed penalty like that, what happens is the coach will pull Frank Furlan out and send in another attacker, so there'll be a 6-on-5.
Well, the extra attacker in this case was Shane Cole. As Furlan came out, it'll be a hooking penalty against Brandon, number 4, Newman. He's no stranger to the penalty box. That penalty comes at 14:20 of the period. We played just about 9 full minutes since we've had a penalty, but a bunch of them early, and now we've played almost 9 minutes since we've had a penalty.
That's a little different.
Rennie against Bassett on the faceoff, just to the left of Trevor Kidd. That's Kidd's glove side. Tri-City's winning the draw. Goes to McNutt. McNutt out to Jakes. Jakes on the power play. Jakes to cross a drive wide of the net. And it comes around, and we have a whistle, and it will go against the Americans.
Tripping penalty. When you think you got it going, It goes the other way.
Well, the Americans have
Penalty to number 10, Greg Delcourt. 2 minutes for tripping.
Delcourt for tripping.
14:30.
Penalty comes at 14:30.
Excuse me. Coach John Oliver is standing with his arms crossed, wondering, how much is it going to cost me to buy a break?
I don't think you could even buy one tonight. That takes care of the Americans' power play. Brandon now 2 for 4 on power plays. They'll have a 10-second power play after a while. Right now, it's 4-on-4. This is the time that Stu Barnes likes. McNutt gets a shot, and it's blocked by Kidd. Giveaway came right out in front to Steve McNutt. McNutt took a whack at it, and Kidd was all over it.
Great poke check by Nutter.
5:17 to go in the second period. 5:17 of the period remaining. It is Rennie against Basson. Basson wins the draw. Brandon with it behind their own net. Both teams with 4 skaters on the ice plus the goaltender. Here comes Basson around behind the net. Tripped up by McNutt. Puck goes over to Brad Woods. Woods with it, stolen away by Rennie. Rennie to McNutt. McNutt overskates it. Plays it off the boards and gets it back. Steve Rennie, or McNutt rather, plays it out into the corner, trying to get control of it. Now Rennie goes in after it to McNutt. Stolen out of there by Basson. Basson working on Kraus. Had to put a move on Kraus, and McNutt goes back to get the puck for the Americans. Goes right to Jakes. Steve Jakes, one of the Bruise brothers. Jakes gets it ahead to Kraus. Kraus for Rennie. Rennie overskates it, and in after it in a hurry for the Americans is Jakes, and is tied up along the boards. Rennie and Jakes digging at it along with Bob Woods. Rennie with it. Rennie shot blocked by Kidd. Back to Steve Rennie. Rennie loses it off his skate, leaves it behind. Another shot by LeBron, and LeBron just buried Trevor Kidd, but he couldn't get the goal.
The puck sat out on this side of the circle on the right side, and LeBron, with one of his patented slap shots, let it go, and there's Kidd.
Well, I'll tell you what, Trevor Kidd paid for that one.
And he still feels it.
He got it right in the midsection. 4:16 to go in the second period. It is 5-2. Tri-Cities leading, or Tri-Cities trailing rather, the Brandon Wheatkings. The Americans beginning to show some life here, and they're going to have to show a lot of life. It is 46 seconds remaining in the penalty to Delcourt. 36 seconds remaining in the penalty to Newman. A shot on the face-off wide of the net. Americans with it. Comes out to Duval at the left point. Duval down to LeBron. Goes around behind the net. Brandon goes after it, but catcher's there. Catcher to Barnes. Barnes tried to center it to LeBron. Loose puck picked out of there by Brandon's Graham Garden. Garden with it. Garden working on catcher. Shoots it in on goal. Ferlin there to play it out to the point. Comes out to Cam Brown. Cam Brown loses it to Duval. Murray Duval. Duval 2-on-2 with Barnes. To Stu Barnes at the point. Barnes with it. Shovels it across to Catcher. Catcher with it. His shot wide of the net goes in the air over the net. Brandon with it, and they play it right into the crowd. It was chipped into the crowd by Cam Brown.
1 second left on the Delcourt penalty.
And the penalty to Brandon is over.
Another power play that's lost for the Americans.
Yeah, Brandon is 2 for 5 now in power plays. The Americans are 0 for 4 on the night. Delcourt's power play, or Delcourt's penalty essentially served. 3:31 to go in the period. A couple of very interesting guests for you in the second period. Ernie McLean, who used to coach the New Westminster Bruins, and Jack McCartan, a 1960 Olympian, who now scouts for the Vancouver Canucks, will be with us in the intermission. Off the draw, it goes to Spenrath for the Americans. Spenrath to Kraus. Kraus ahead to Spenrath now in the neutral area. Spenner dumps it in behind the Brandon net. Kidd goes after it. Big check there by Delcourt, but it's back into the neutral ice area as Kraus digs for it. Kraus to Delcourt. Kraus and Delcourt. Now Greg Delcourt with it. Ahead to Spenrath. Spenner wearing the C's, Captain C tonight. Delcourt tried to get it, couldn't. Back into the neutral ice area.
Fans want a penalty.
Brandon with it. Everybody scrambling forward. Delcourt gets it to Spenrath. Spenner loses it to the stick of Bob Woods. Spenrath gets it back. Back out front to Shane Cole. A drive blocked by Kidd. And the rebound comes out to Brandon. A whistle
High sticking
played
penalty.
off a high stick. Let's see if it will be a penalty or just simply called. I think it will be a penalty to Brandon. Bob Woods. Bob Woods, and the penalty comes at 17-14 of the period. 5:12 to go in the second.
Tri-Cities are very much looking forward to seeing Bob Woods sit down for a little while.
Yeah, he's been a busy young man out there. He's been all over the ice. 2:46 to go, second period. Here at Tri-Cities Coliseum. Kirk Williamson along with Tony Woods. Tony Ott, I'm sorry. I got Woods on the brain, Tony. Barnes and Basson to face off to the right of Kidd. Barnes wins the draw. Americans with it on the power play to Catcher. Catcher back to Kutowitz. Kutowitz to Barnes. Barnes at the wing goes to Catcher. Catcher looks at a shot, slides it in. Kidd blocks it. Taken out of there by Drager, and Drager will ice it for Brandon. Shot down to Frank Ferland. Ferland will leave it for Kutowitz. Ferland directing traffic as Cutter goes back behind the net. Here comes Kutowitz. He wipes out. Loose puck. Catcher goes after it. Stolen out of there by Brandon. Basson has it. Basson to Woods. Woods back now to Drager. Drager back to Woods. That's Brad Woods. Shoots it into the Americans' end, and Tri-Cities will have to reset. Minute 21 remaining in the power play. Puck stolen away by Price Wood. And the Americans get it right back off the boards. LeBrun now. LeBrun with it for the Americans. He'll wait for Catcher. Catcher trying to get it to Kwiatkowski, and Brandon has it again. Now Ferland comes out, plays it ahead to LeBrun. LeBrun shoots it ahead to Barnes. Barnes, here comes Barnes, and a great check. Stick check by Brad Woods. Goes into the corner, and it's iced once again by Brandon. They dump it back into the Americans' end.
Coach John Oliver's experimenting with different lines right here, trying to get something started.
On the power play, the Americans, 46 seconds remaining in the power play, and we'll have a whistle.
An offside.
Offside against Brandon. A face-off will come just outside the Tri-Cities blue line. Ferland back having a word now with one of his teammates, with Murray Duval. The Americans in white jerseys with gold and black trim. Brandon in black with the gold trim and the gold and white numerals. Minute 30 remaining in the period. Face-off won by the Americans. Jakes as Rennie wins the face-off. Jakes with it. Goes to Nibbs. Nibbs into the Brandon zone. Nibbs from Rennie, and it goes around behind the net. Bob Newman in after it for Brandon. Out to the point now. Duval keeping it in play to Rennie. For the Americans, goes down to Spenrath. Spenrath back up front to Duval. A drive goes over the net. Back out to Calvin Nibbs. Nibbs to Jakes. Jakes back to Duval. Duval shoots it toward the net, slides wide, kept in play by the Americans, comes out along the boards, and now it's shot back into the neutral zone by Robertson. Chris Robertson with 2 goals on the night, working on that hat trick.
And the penalty to Bob Woods has expired.
Jakes and the Americans squander another power play. This their 5th. Puck goes down in front of the Brandon net. Kidd plays it out now to Brad Woods. Back to the blue line. Duval dumps it in, but Brandon has the puck, and we have a whistle.
An offside penalty.
37 seconds remaining in the period. 5-2, Brandon leading the Tri-City Americans. Face-off will come just outside the Brandon blue line. 5-2. Next action for the Americans Thursday night against the Portland Winterhawks. Then on Saturday, the Americans will be in Kamloops to take on the Blazers. Then back here on Sunday against the Regina Pats. Brandon shooting it down into the Americans' end, and back after it is Krause. Krause plays it ahead to McNutt. McNutt, Robertson. Here come the Americans. Robertson to Dirksen. Dirksen in the slot, but he loses it. Brandon with it. They'll try to bring it up. In the neutral ice area, Krause plays it to McNutt. McNutt takes it in. Nutter across the blue line. Steve McNutt shoots it into the corner. In after it is Robertson. Robertson puts a big hit on Drager. Dirksen and Robertson in after it. This is the rookie line for the Americans. Dirksen, McNutt, and Robertson. Shot back into the Americans' end. Ferland comes out as time runs out in the second period with the score. The Brandon Wheatkings 5, the Tri-City Americans 2. And at the end of the second period, we'll be back in 2 minutes on this KOTY Americans hockey broadcast.
On the next edition of Cable Kitchen, Bob and...
Well, both teams back on the ice, Tony, and just about ready now to get things underway. A couple of reminders for our KOTY AM 1340 listeners. Coming up right after this broadcast will be the Seattle Supersonics at Portland game, the NBA game, Seattle at Portland, and then on Thursday, well, tomorrow night, another Sonics game, Sonics at Golden State. Then on Thursday, it's the Americans hosting the Portland Winterhawks back here in Tri-Cities Coliseum.
Kirk, at this particular time, I'd like to do something that I know that we talked about earlier, and that's wish my sister Angela her happy 18th birthday tonight. She's probably one of the biggest American fans here.
Well, she's not the big. I mean, she's not as big as some people.
Well, that's true. She probably
happy
like
birthday,
that.
Angela. And the face-off for the Americans will be Stu Barnes against number 9 Mark Basson. Basson from Calgary, 5'9", 150 pounds. Barnes from Spruce Grove, Alberta, and Basson wins the draw. Goes to Brandon. We're in the third period. Odgers dumps it in on net, and Ferland blocks it away. The Americans without Olaf Kolzig tonight, as he's been replaced pending orthoscopic surgery. Barnes with it, passes it across the neutral zone, intended for LeBrun. Back for it is Newman for Brandon. Newman shoots it off the boards, gets it ahead now to Cam Brown. Brown with it, has it stolen away by Duval. Murray Duval down in the corner. Barnes goes in after it. Barnes and Duval trying to work it out of that corner. Now Barnes has it. Stu Barnes with it beside the net. Comes out in front, tries to jam it past Trevor Kidd, and he can't do it. Now Duval gets checked into the net by number 9 Basson. Some sticks slapping around in there as Kidd had to make a great move to beat Barnes at the corner of the net.
A little extracurricular activity down there with Basson and Duval.
Murray Duval has had Mark Basson's number all night.
Certainly appears that way. Duval is playing with some pretty good intensity there tonight.
For the Americans, a quick line change. The line of Rennie with Nibs and Delcourt comes on. Delcourt the left wing, Nibs the right wing, and Rennie at center.
And the crowd is now getting into it.
Well, the scoreboard says make some racket, folks. Gary Audette to take the draw. Won by the Americans. A quick shot fanned on by catcher. Loose stick as the Brandon Wheatkings bring it down. Garden shoots it between the legs of Kutowicz. Comes around the boards to Catcher. Catcher with it for the Americans. Catches pass, goes to Delcourt. Delcourt, 3-on-2. Delcourt dumps it into the Brandon end. Goes into the boards, and Delcourt goes after it along the right boards. Delcourt with it, pounded against the glass by Dreger. But Nibs has it. Nibs centers to Kutowicz. Kutowicz down the slot, and it's blocked by Kidd. Kidd will drop it, leave it for Hunter. Dale Hunter with it. Hunter fans at it, and the Americans take it away from him. Delcourt leaves it behind, but Hunter has it. Pass into the neutral area, intended for Garden, but it'll go back to Kutowicz. Kelly Kutowicz shoots it ahead now to Rennie. Dogger along the left wing or the right wing boards. Over to Nibs. Nibs centered for Delcourt. Shovels it toward the net. Can't make anything happen. It comes out to the point. Kutowicz has it just across the blue line. Kutowicz trying to work it in. Scramble for the loose puck. Taken out of there by Robertson for Brandon. Robertson across ice to Dreger. Dreger shoots it into the Americans' end. Ferland leaves it behind. Cutter goes after it. Shoots it behind him to Spenrath. Spenrath along the board. Starts to bring it out. Checked off of it by Frederick. Spenrath loses it, and Newman has it for Brandon. Newman's pass stolen away by McNutt. McNutt across the blue line, trying to keep it in play, and he'll lose it back into the neutral ice area, where Krause has it for the Americans. Krause along the boards now to Spenrath. Spenrath loses it from behind. Dumped into the Tri-Cities end by Robertson. Ferland goes back to play it. Ferland to Shane Cole. Cole shoots it out quickly for the Americans into the neutral zone, but Brandon takes it away.
They got to hit those passes.
They sure do. Newman loses it. A big hit on Newman. And here comes Cole. Cole ahead to McNutt. McNutt dumps it into the Brandon end. Americans on a quick shift change. Around behind the net as Kwiatkowski wipes out. Krause tried to get it to Duval in the slot. Comes to Barnes off the boards. Delayed penalty coming. And a whistle will blow. Hooking against Brandon.
Stu Barnes shows how valuable he really is by showing the speed, the finesse, the rhythm that he carries when he has that puck.
Bob Wood draws the penalty. Penalty comes at 2:52 of the period, third period, against the Wheaties.
Another power play opportunity.
And this will be, I believe, the 8th of the night for the Americans. Nope, the 6th of the night for Tri-Cities. They are offered so far. Tri-Cities with a man advantage. The power play team, Wheatkings and LeBrun the wings. Barnes at center with Krause and Duval at the points. Duval can play defense, trying to give the Americans a little bit more puck handling. Murray Duval shoots a pass across to Barnes. Barnes slides it in, and they beat Trevor Kidd. Wheatkings couldn't get a quick shot on it. Kidd blocked it in a whistle.
And Darren Wheatkings is going to go sit down for a couple minutes.
Well, that ended that power play. Interference called. It'll be a crease violation. And the penalty comes at 3:05.
And that's a good call. That was a good call by referee Larasse.
He backed right into Trevor Kidd. Kidd blocked it. He gets down quickly, and he doesn't leave much of a hole between those legs. Goalies refer to that as the 5-hole between the legs. And Trevor Kidd covers that up about as well as anybody alive, I think. 5-2, Brandon leading.
His concentration on this game is just what is really
awesome.
Astounded me. He is just really good.
Both teams with 4 men on the ice, 4-on-4. Barnes against Basson to take the draw. Basson came to Brandon in a trade from Lethbridge. The Hurricanes will be here a little bit later on. We'll check that schedule and tell you when. Face-off won by Barnes. Barnes with it. Loses it now, but Krause gets it back for the Americans. Barnes lost it to Frederick. Krause poked it back to his defense mate. And here come the Americans. Catcher. Catch gets it ahead to LeBrun. LeBrun pulls up at the blue line. Snaps a pass across to Rob Krause. Krause nearly loses it on the boards. Gets it down to Barnes. Goes in behind the net. Around after it is Brad Woods. Brad Woods out to Frederick. Frederick to Basson. Basson holds it at the blue line, and the Americans have it. Back in the neutral zone. A penalty. We're going to have a fight. It's Basson and Duval. Duval's been looking for somebody to take a piece of. And now the second guy in there,
that's
as the Wheatkings comes in and takes a belt at, that was Frederick that came in and took a belt at Duval. Well, let's see who's going to the penalty box.
That's Stu Barnes.
I thought it was Duval. It wasn't. It was Barnes. Barnes is really hot.
He sure is. He's still having a few things to say to the linesman right there.
Barnes and Basson will get it for roughing, which can be almost anything. It's the hockey equivalent of unsportsmanlike conduct.
And Kirk, I think right there really pretty much shows you the frustration the Americans are having right now. Stu Barnes not generally known for doing any of that, and was pushing down.
Well, Wheatkings also gets one. Oh, Barnes gets a double minor.
2 minutes for roughing.
Whoa, that will give Brandon a 4-on-3 opportunity. Barnes assessed a double penalty for roughing, probably one for the activity with Basson and the other one for chirping at the referee afterwards. Barnes was really hot.
Maybe that's what it's going to take finally to get the Americans going here.
Wheatkings and Barnes in the penalty box for the Americans. Barnes will have to be there. If we heard that correctly, Barnes will have to be there for 4 minutes. But which means Brandon will have a power play opportunity here and another one when the penalty to Wheatkings runs out.
And there was no argument from Coach Oliver on that. I think that the penalty is due.
The 6th and 7th power play opportunities for the Brandon Wheatkings. Brandon winning the draw, but the Americans steal it back. Here's Rennie. Rennie up to the blue line. Gets it into the Brandon end, but the Wheatkings back for it. Dreger with it. Dreger starts to bring it up for Brandon. Dreger working on Kraus. Across the blue line, pulls up short. Dreger goes into the left point. Over to the right now to Newman. Newman a drive. Blocked by Rennie, and it's chipped away out of play. And Newman takes a pop at Rennie on his way for
and Rob Kraus is in there too.
Rob Kraus steps in and says, hey, you want to fight somebody, fine, here I am. And that's part of Rob Kraus's job. Steve Rennie is not known as a fighter. He got really roughed up along the boards there by Dreger. And Rob Kraus said, hey, if you want to fight, fine, here I am.
He's the deputy of defense.
And the draw won by the Americans. Kraus dumps it the length of the ice into the Brandon end. Wheatkings with 4 skaters, the Americans with 3. 50 seconds on the penalty to Kwiatkowski, 35 on the penalty to Bob Woods. And Barnes working on a double minor. Comes out along the boards now to Troy Kennedy. Tied up there and flipped right straight up over the glass one more time. Another nice souvenir for a fan down there.
About the same area, and we've got a fan down here that wants to get out there and play some hockey, I think.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to organize some leagues here. Because they're
getting a little vocal down there today.
Having a couple of words for Troy Kennedy now, who has his back to the glass, and also for the officials tonight. As Spenrath wins the draw from Robertson and dumps it back into the Brandon end. Wheatkings go back after it. Dreger. Dreger will bring it up. Dreger quickly across the blue line. Americans with 3 skaters, Brandon with 4. Dreger passes it out to the head of the slot, and a shot by Newman, blocked by Ferland.
Beautiful save by there. Frank Ferland right there with the stick.
Newman one-timed it right from the head of the slot, and Ferland was there. Ferland was partially screened, too.
He certainly was.
There will be a brief 5-on-3 opportunity for the Wheatkings here, as the penalty to Bob Woods will run out 13 seconds ahead of the penalty to Kwiatkowski.
The Americans are down there trying to figure a defense out right now.
Yeah, there's one good one, and that is shoot the puck the length of the ice.
That's it.
Rennie against Robertson. This is Chris Robertson. 2 goals on the night for the young man from Calgary. Draw won by Rennie. Behind the net is Jakes. Jakes shoots it down into the Brandon end. Goes into the corner, and down after it quickly is Rennie. As Kidd came out, Rennie fanned at it. Kidd was way out of the net, but nobody could get to it for the Americans. Now Brandon has it. Robertson bringing it up. Robertson with the puck. Shoots a pass on the left side to Bob Woods. Penalty on him is over. In after it goes Robertson into the corner. A big hit there by Kraus on Robertson. Puck's loose. Rennie takes a pop along the boards against Troy Kennedy, and now we have a whistle.
What a check by the Krauser.
Oh, Rob Kraus dialed up Chris Robertson's number, smeared him into the glass, and just let him drip down onto the ice. And the scoreboard says, great check.
The deputy of defense.
Great check it was for Rob Kraus.
You know it.
27 seconds remaining on the penalty to Barnes now. Faceoff will come outside the blue line. This is a 7th power play for the Wheatkings. Brandon 2 for 6 so far on the power play. Americans win the draw. Catcher shoots at the length of the ice, and it'll go in beside Trevor Kidd. Kidd will leave it behind now for Bob Woods. 14 seconds remaining on the penalty to Stu Barnes. Here comes Brandon. Bob Woods with it, has it stolen away by Calvin Nibbs. Nibbs puts a move on to get by his man and goes into the corner. Spenrath to Nibbs. Spenrath has it taken off his stick now. Here comes Brandon. Wheatkings with it. Troy Kennedy.
Penalties have expired.
Kennedy comes up, shoots it down to Ferland. Ferland catches it for the Americans in his glove, leaves it for Spenrath. Tried to get it to Nibbs. Nibbs fanned at it, couldn't get to it. Puck left at the blue line for Audette. Audette chases it into the corner. Audette tried to center. Puck goes off his skate right to Graham Garden out front. A big drive by Dreger. Deflected out front by an Americans defenseman. Comes back to Dreger. He takes another one, and Spenrath decks him. Nibbs has the puck for the Americans. What a check by Spenner. Puck played off the boards into the Brandon end. Wheatkings with it. Both teams at equal strength. Goes to Odgers. Odgers whips it in behind the Americans' net. Ferland stops it, leaves it for Kraus. Rob Kraus with it. Kraus will bring it up. Kraus across the blue line. Here comes Kraus. Kraus going to take it all the way in himself. Rob Kraus tried to center it for Delcourt. Delly gets it behind the net. Loose puck goes behind him. Back out into the neutral ice area. The Americans will have to chase it down. McNutt goes back for it. And we'll have a whistle.
Audette, when he came down here in front of Ferland, he looked... Oh, we have a play. It's Audette.
We have a player down. It's Audette. Down on the ice, face down. Go ahead.
What I was mentioning was that when Audette came down here in front of Ferland, the way that he came around and the way he skated reminded me of a very famous hockey player, Bobby Hull.
Yeah, he did a nice job, but he wiped out right in front of the net, and I'm not sure exactly what happened to Gary Audette. We'll have to check on it after he's attended to by their trainer, Randy Lean. And while they're doing that, we'll take time out. Well, wait a minute. Now they're getting Audette up off the ice.
If you have any questions, please call.
He may have fallen on his skate or fallen on a stick or something. He went down right on his face. He's up.
Now, folks, underneath this ice, it's only a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. That is solid cement underneath there.
Well, and the ice ain't soft.
That's for sure.
5-2 as Audette goes to the bench. I think we're talking cut lip here, and he'll go back and get a couple of quick stitches from Randy Lean and be back into it, I betcha. Right outside the blue line, McNutt facing off. And it's dumped into the Tri-Cities end. Price won the face-off, but the Americans have it. Here's Kraus, goes right now to Cole. Shane Cole works it ahead to Duval. Duval, 3-on-3. Duval fanned at the shot. Back up front, and they got it past Kraus. Back into the neutral ice area. Now Cole has to go back for it. Shane Cole with the puck. Gets it ahead of McNutt. Great pass to McNutt. Here comes McNutt across the blue line. Steve McNutt into the corner. Pulls up short. Has it knocked off his stick, but it goes around to Duval. Murray Duval digging for it. Now it's played back out along the boards. Out to Price Wood.
What a hit by Cole.
Holy cow. Price Wood got a hello and welcome to the Tri-Cities from Shane Cole.
Postcard.
Delcourt with the puck. Tried to center it out to Duval. Couldn't do it. Now the Brandon Wheatkings have it. Here comes Frederick. Frederick with it. Shoots a pass on the right side to Fulkett and a whistle.
We have an offsides.
Another big hit as Fulkett goes down in front of Duval. And he wants to fight. And Duval was just trying to get out of his way. Fulkett is really hot. Now here comes another Wheatking into the melee.
Shane Cole's in there pushing her out.
Now we got guys tied up. This could be... well, it's not exactly going to be a line brawl, but McNutt shoving away on Fulkett, who wants to fight. McNutt's just trying to keep him out of it. Now Rob Kraus goes in and says, hey.
You know, Shane Cole and Murray Duval right now are definitely leaving some spark here. I think they're a little upset.
Now Shane Cole takes a look at Robertson, Chris Robertson. I'll tell you what, there are guys I would not want to mess with on the ice. And right at the top of my list are Shane Cole and Rob Kraus.
And I believe Shane Cole is going to be getting a penalty on this.
Well, he'd like to get a piece of Fulkett before he does.
The linesmen have got him separated across, and yes, they are. They're escorting Shane Cole to the box.
Shane Cole from Prince Albert, a native of Mankota, Saskatchewan.
Fulkett also gets 2 minutes of rest time.
I think we're going to just get roughing penalties on both of those.
And we also have Troy Frederick sitting down, so an opportunity again for the Tri-City Americans.
Penalties come at 9:45 of the period, actually 8:45. Remember, in hockey, you start at the top and work down. The clock starts at 20 and works backwards, but events are timed minutes and seconds into the period. Scoreboard says 12:15. And that is not even 8. It's 7:45 of the period. Here's the announcement.
2 minutes for roughing, 2 minutes for slashing, and a 10-minute misconduct. Time of the penalty, 7 minutes and 45 seconds. For the Brandon Wheatkings, number 10, Troy Frederick, 2 minutes for roughing. And to number 11, Curtis Volkin, 2 minutes for slashing plus a 10-minute misconduct.
Shane Cole is wanting to go after the players on the bench.
Oh, Shane Cole already got a 10-minute misconduct.
And if he doesn't watch it, he could get in a lot of trouble for shoving that linesman. They finally get him into the locker room. The best place for him. Put him in the showers right now. Cool him off.
Polkett got a 10-minute, and Frederick got a 10-minute misconduct, which basically is 10 minutes to go cool it off. I think Cole just might have bought himself a game misconduct for going after the Brandon bench. He has been pounded around pretty good tonight by the Wheatkings. Now,
Gross misconduct.
Ooh, a gross misconduct. You heard the announcement from Kevin Gallant. That's
going to be under review right there.
Yep, that one will be reported to the league office. I need a secretary to keep track of all these penalties here. LeBrun and Bob Woods, both wearing the A's of assistant captains tonight, down talking with the referee, Darren Larras.
You see that half circle down there around the official? That's the official circle. And when there's a penalty being relayed to the press, you cannot step inside there. None of the players can be in and around that.
That's probably a good thing. Gives the officials a chance someplace to hide. Well, it's 5-2. Remains 5-2. And we've had a timeout called now by the Tri-City Americans, I believe. You heard the voice earlier of Kevin Gallant, who is the public address announcer for the last couple of games. Kevin has really done a nice job for the Tri-City Americans. He's one of the most knowledgeable hockey people I know. Works in the front office for the Americans, assistant general manager for hockey operations.
A frustration penalty, I believe, more than anything. I think the Americans they don't like losing as bad as they are in front of their hometown. And, and this is what it is. They're getting beat up basically by Brandon right now.
Yep. You're absolutely right. 5-2 the score.
They're being outskate, outpassed, and outplayed. And out-hustled. There's no doubt about it.
Well, we invite you to stay tuned to our post-game show tonight. We'll have an interview with one of the Americans players, and then we'll have a chance to talk with Coach John Olver as the Wheatkings win the draw. Shot back out to the neutral ice area. Another big hit down along the boards on Dreger. Puck shot into the Americans' end. Pass comes out now to Barnes. Barnes losing it to Brad Woods. Barnes checked off the puck, but Krause is there for the Americans. Krause gets it back to the blue line. Here come the Americans. Americans 3-on-2. Kwiatkowski to LeBrun. LeBrun's shot blocked by Kidd. What a job by Trevor Kidd. LeBrun lofts it over the net. Back out front. Kwiatkowski takes a shot at it, and it's buried.
How can Trevor Kidd stand in there and block every one of those shots? He was
amazing.
all over the place. That's a 4-foot by 6-foot goal down there, and his body's not even close to being that. He was all over it.
Oh, he was. He has done a marvelous job tonight. 5-2. Scoreboard says lucky break. Well,
I don't know.
No. I do. I don't think we'll give him that one. 11:37 remaining in the third period. Brandon leading the Americans 5-2. Coming up on Thursday night, the Portland Winterhawks and the Americans would like to have a piece of the high-flying Winterhawks right now.
And if they think they're playing bad tonight, if they play this way on Thursday night, oh boy.
Won't happen. Rennie against Basson. Basson wins the draw. All those penalties were simultaneous, so nobody loses. Furlan comes out, plays the puck back out into the neutral ice area. There are both teams at full strength. Puck goes to Kutowicz. Kutowicz shoots it into the Brandon end, goes in on the goal. Kidd will leave it behind, but in after it quickly is it's Steve Rennie. Rennie and Duval digging for it, but Brandon has it. Wheatkings out to Basson. Basson 2-on-1. Basson down the slot, a shot wide of the net. Furlan just got a skate on it. Comes out now to Duval. Duval plays it across the ice to Rennie. Dogger goes in across the blue line. Steve Rennie with it, double teamed, and Basson comes up with it. Basson off his skate across the neutral ice area, dumps it into the corner. Furlan goes in behind the net to play it. A big hit there by Kutowicz on Kowalchuk. It's tied up there, and the Americans come back with it. Here comes the pass to Delcourt. Delcourt gets it in along the boards. McNutt in after it. Nutter stops. Couple of big hits there as McNutt and Nibbs dig for the puck, along with Dreger and Price Wood.
Some excellent back checking right there by Brandon, as well as, you know what I'm really impressed about, Kirk, is the way these boys from Central Canada skate.
They are good skaters, you bet. You know, one of the reasons that there's been a lot of emotional play and a lot of physical play tonight is that many of the Americans players have come from the Eastern Division. They've come from the Eastern Division team. Rob Krause, for example, with Lethbridge last year.
Shane Cole from Prince Albert.
Shane Cole coming down from Prince Albert. Puck slid across the slot by Krause. Brandon has it. They shoot at the length of the ice. In after it is Krause. Krause back for the Americans to reset. Krause up to the blue line. Shot back toward Furlan by Brandon as Cam Brown got a stick on it. Americans get it ahead to Robertson now. Robertson shoots it into the corner. Robertson and Fry going after it. Whipped around the boards by Brandon. Stopped at the point by the Americans. A shot there by Jakes. Blocked by the defense. Comes out to Jakes. Jakes shoots it into the slot. Kidd comes out. Dumps it into the corner. Now Rick Fry going in after it along with Devin Dirksen. Fry and Dirksen. Now Dirksen takes a pop.
Oh, I tell you.
This could be interesting.
Here we go.
Dirksen and Price Brown. And Dirksen is really getting in some shots.
And they're on the ice.
Brown is much bigger than Devin Dirksen.
And Dirksen wants more. He says, I haven't had enough.
He is hot. Dirksen is really mad. And now they continue to chip away at each other. Dirksen and Price Brown. Brown throws his gloves down after it's all over, after he makes sure that Dirksen is nowhere close. And, or Price Wood, rather. And that one comes at 10:21 of the period. And this will be probably 5 minutes each for fighting. We'll have to wait and see.
I'd imagine that's what it's going to be.
Waiting now for the official announcement. Kevin Gallant will make the announcement.
Penalties at 10:21 to the Tri-City Americans, number 9, Devin Dirksen, and to the Brandon Wheatkings, number 27, Price Wood. 5 minutes each for fighting. Time of the penalties, 10:21.
Here the announcement from Kevin Gallant. And it will be Barnes and Robertson to face off to the left of Brandon's goalie, Trevor Kidd. In the face-off circle to the left. Puck is down. Barnes gets Wood on it, but Brandon has it around behind the net. They play it off the dasher board. Up to the point. Cutowitz, a drive goes wide of the net. In after it quickly is Frederick for Brandon. Another shot in the slot. Another shot. A goal! We have a goal right there. LeBron's rebound came out to Kwiatkowski.
Kwiatkowski right there on the left-hand side of the net. Took advantage of the open net, shot it right in, and Trevor Kidd is sitting down going, where was my help?
Well,
high fives around the bench.
He didn't get much that time. Trevor Kidd didn't get much help at all. He came out, made the block, but the rebound went out in the just to the right of the net to Kwiatkowski. Kiwi whacked it in. Here's the announcement.
It's 4th of the year, scored by number 24, Darren Kwiatkowski. Assist to number 14, Stuber. And a number 18, Sean LeBron.
Barnes and LeBron getting assists on the face-off. Brandon with it. Here comes the Wheatkings. Robertson in the slot. A backhand shot. Furlan blocked it. Comes out into the corner. Brandon with it. Another shot out in the slot. Oh! They just avoided that one. Robertson couldn't get his stick down. Here comes Barnes. Barnes taken down by the stick of number 22, Dreger. Goes down behind the net.
The Americans have new life now.
Boy, they sure do. Comes out. Kwiatkowski takes a whack at it. Kwiatkowski to Barnes. Barnes working on it. Now it's taken out of there by Frederick for Brandon. Here comes Troy Frederick. His pass ahead to Kennedy. Kennedy falls down, backhands it, but it's stopped by Kutowicz.
Plenty of time left
for the Americans to LeBrun. Good move by LeBrun to get it into the Brandon end. Goes down in the corner, Cheveldayoff.
Stu Barnes with a great check into the boards.
He really mashed Cheveldayoff, or not Cheveldayoff. It is Bob Woods. Comes out to the point. Another big hit. Americans with a Duval shot. Goes around behind the net and a whistle.
I believe
cross check.
That is what the call is going to be. Let's wait for the official word on it.
It'll go against the Americans, I believe. Murray Duval.
Oh, boy. Murray did not want that one.
Comes at 11:41 of the period. The Americans did not need to give up another power play. Brandon is 2 for 7. The goal came at about 11 minutes of the period, and I didn't get the exact time. But Wheatkings from LeBrun and Barnes. It was Barnes' shot. LeBrun hit the rebound. It rebounded again. Kid made 2 great saves.
He certainly did.
And it was the 3rd shot. And I'll tell you what, the Americans have not gotten a 3rd shot hardly at all.
And that was a defensive fallout by Brandon.
Wheatkings with the puck as they win the draw. Basson with it. Mark Basson gets it ahead now to Bob Woods. Woods, Rennie ties him up. Woods loses his glove. Puck taken away from there by Odgers. Odgers across the blue line. Dumps it in for Audette. Audette pulls up short of the net. Gary Audette has it taken away by Rennie. Puck's up in the air, chipped toward the Americans' net. Comes down to Jakes. Jakes, a great lead pass for Rennie, but Rennie can't handle it. Basson back for Brandon. Basson with it for the Wheatkings. It's 5-3. The Americans trail by 2 goals. 7:44 to play. Here comes Odgers. Odgers ahead to Garden. Garden in on Furlan. Around behind the net. Furlan goes post to post. Centered, and it's slapped away by Nibs. Good play by Nibs. Another shot and drive from out front by Bob Woods. Blocked by Furlan. Great defense by the Americans netminder.
A great half butterfly save right there by Frank Furlan.
Comes down the shot around the boards. Goes out to Robertson. Robertson chips it into the corner, and Krause has it for the Americans. Rob Krause shoots it back out as the American penalty killers are trying to get back down to the other end of the ice. Goes back to Woods. Woods hit by McNutt along the boards. McNutt has the puck. McNutt and Woods digging for it. Comes out to Delcourt. Delly takes a hit there by Chris Robertson, but Delcourt with the puck. Delcourt with it as Robertson works on him along with Woods, and now they'll whistle it down.
Gary, excuse me, Kurt.
Good.
Gary Audette, the one that was down on the ice just a few minutes ago, went to the locker room, had some things taken care of, and sure enough, these kids are tough.
Yeah, they are tough. 5-3 the score. 6:53. Of course, they're trainers, Randy Lean and Jim Craig, both quite capable of putting in a stitch or two. Thank you. In fact, I've seen some of Jim Craig's stitch work, and he does nice work. Sewed up a little mess on Barnes's head after a local doctor on the road threw a couple stitches in it just to get it by, and Jim straightened it out. Looked like a plastic surgeon.
Did he work on
Robertson brings it out. Robertson for Brandon shoots it into the Americans' end. Catcher after it. Catcher goes in with Frederick. Catcher with the puck, has it behind the net. Big hit there by Kennedy as they dig for it along beside the net. The Americans manage to get it out along the boards now. Delcourt shoots it down the ice. Delcourt and McNutt. McNutt chasing it along with Newman. Newman leaves it behind now for Cam Brown. Cam Brown for Brandon. Starts to bring it back up to the Americans' end. Brown evades a check. Gets it by Kutowicz. Shoots it in behind the Americans' goal. Furlan there to play it. 5-3. Penalties over. The Americans full strength.
Nice
LeBron.
pass.
LeBron up the boards. Splits the defenders. LeBron takes it in on Kidd. LeBron shoots.
Just wide.
Side. They wouldn't go. LeBron. It gets out to Barnes. Barnes loses the puck, taken away by Kowalchuk. Back for it now is Krause. Rob Krause with the puck. Back behind the Americans' net. They're down by 2. 5-3 to Brandon. Gets it ahead to Barnes. Stolen away there by Audette. Audette in the slot, and he loses it to Kwiatkowski. Back is Krause. Krause shoots it off the glass to Barnes. Barnes, great pass to LeBrun. Brunner bringing it up. LeBrun beats his guy. Goes in on Kidd. Stripped away from him. Great check by Brandon. Great back checking by the Brandon Wheatkings. The puck shot back in on Furlan. Furlan plays it out to Krause.
Everybody's in a line change right now.
Quick line change, but Barnes stays out there.
Smart play.
Barnes to Krause with Nibs and Spenrath now as Barnes goes off. Duval is in. Brandon with it. They slide it across the slot. Here come the Americans. Spinrath in for it. Big hit put in on Duval. But here comes Barnes. Barnes across the blue line. Stu Barnes, and we have an offsides.
Just as the crowd started to get into it right there. You know, something to clear up, too. If you hear it on the radio and they are yelling after Stu, that is not boo that you hear. That is Stu, Stu, Stu.
Stu, Stu, Stu is right. And the fans would like to see that Barnes-Orama start here. Just under 5 minutes to play. 5-3. Rennie with Spinrath and Duval for the Americans. Kutowitz and Catcher, the D-man. The draw won by Brandon. Shot out by Bob Woods. But the Americans gain control in the neutral zone. The Americans get it ahead now to Duval, and it goes right back to Catcher. Catcher with it, stick handling it ahead to Rennie. Rennie breaks across the blue line. Steve Rennie pulls up short, shoots a pass right to Catcher. Catcher, a drive! Block! Slid toward the goal by Spinrath. It was just wide of the net. Shot the length of the ice once again. Kutowitz will go back for the Americans. Kutowitz will take it at the goal line. Cutter shoots it ahead to Spinrath. Spinrath with it in traffic to Duval. Duval, a drive! Blocked by Newman. Good save by Newman.
Nice slide there.
Shoots it down into the Americans' end. Catcher goes after it. Kutowitz back to help him out, and icing will be called. Face-off in the Brandon end.
Dwayne Newman made a great defensive play down here, and that's one thing Brandon does well, is they slide when the puck is being shot out at the point.
Well, he gave up the body. He took a heck of a blast by Spinrath that time, because Spinrath cranked up and really belted that one.
I wonder who their orthodontist is as well.
4:10 to go. Tonight's attendance, 4,369. 5-3 the score. Brandon leading the Americans. 4:10 to go. Don't forget, Portland will be here on Thursday, and happy times in Brandon. We learned earlier that they, or in Kamloops, we learned that the folks in Kamloops approved a plebiscite in yesterday's by-election to build a new arena in Kamloops to keep the Blazers in that British Columbia city.
Good news for Kamloops.
Brandon wins the draw. Good news for everybody. Brandon wins the draw. Robert, you never seen that place. Robertson dumps it in behind the Americans' net. Perlin plays it, whips it out along the boards, comes back out to the point, kept in play by Brandon. Goes down in the corner once again where Jakes takes it for the Americans. Jakes plays it out to Delcourt. Delcourt to McNutt. Good play to McNutt. Steve McNutt checked off the puck, and it goes into the corner. McNutt upended by Cam Brown. Nibbs digging for the puck, but McNutt gets up, has the puck. McNutt taken down again by Cam Brown, but it comes out to Delcourt. Delcourt working for it in the corner. Comes out to Calvin Nibbs. Nibbs with it for the Americans. Centers it to McNutt. Back to Krause. Krause will back up into the neutral zone. Gets it ahead to McNutt. McNutt slides it ahead to Delcourt. Delcourt with it. Greg Delcourt along the boards. Tries to get it to Nibbs and can't. Brandon has it. Barnes back on the ice. A quick shift change for the Americans. Jakes shoots it into the Brandon end. It'll go into the corner. Brandon's back for it is Cam Brown. He takes a pop from Barnes. Barnes digging for it along with Kwiatkowski. 2:54 to play, and now we have a penalty.
I believe it's frozen up against the side. Oh, we got some extra words going on there.
Kwiatkowski and Robertson having words now.
I believe it was just a frozen puck against the
I guess it was. The referee blowing the whistle there. .253 remaining in the hockey game. Brandon leading the Americans 5-3.
You're going to notice Brandon's going to always want to do that. They're going to kill as much time as they possibly can. They're content to push it around the board.
Oh, sure. They are now, and there goes another wave.
There's the wave again, folks.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they like that. This is a good place to do the wave,
exactly.
too.
The players love it, too. They send it. And you know what? Inspiration time, folks. Here it is. Way to go, Tri-City.
2:53 to play. Barnes will face off against Audette to the right of Trevor Kidd. Puck is down. Brandon wins it. They shoot it around the boards, and it goes to Kowalchuk. He whacks it back into the Americans' end. Backboard is Kutowitz. Kutowitz touching it back at the goal line, and the Americans have it. Pass out to LeBron into the neutral ice area. Goes all the way down. Now Brandon goes after it. Brad Woods for it, and we have icing called. I thought the Americans were going to get an icing call, but they didn't. And it'll come back down to the Americans' end to be faced off right next to Frank Furlan.
You know, there is still some life in the Americans right now. You can see every one of the players are standing up on the bench. They're looking like they're ready to win this game. They haven't given up yet, and that's what it's all about. And Coach John Oliver is screaming.
Well, I don't know why they didn't get that call.
At the linesman. What is he doing?
I don't know why they didn't get the call, the icing call down there, because
it should have been down here, shouldn't it?
It sure should have, because it was iced. But be that as it may, neither John Oliver nor I will have any influence on the call. Barnes will face off to the left of Furlan against Price Wood. Barnes against Wood. It's dropped. Wood kicks it out of there. Back for Brandon. Brad Wood shoots. Blocked by Furlan. Another one. And they score.
Audette.
Oh, my. Oh, my. That was... what can you say? Brad Woods will get the assist. The score comes at 17-32.
And that was really, Kudowitz had him wrapped up. And it was just one of those good backhand shots that had Frank Furlan just a little bit out of the net there. And happened to slide it right past him. 6-3 now, Brandon.
Well, that about takes care of that for tonight. 2:28 remaining in the final period. And the Americans not having one of their better games. You had to expect kind of a letdown. And I don't think you really expected the kind of a letdown that we've really seen tonight. But that does, in fact, happen. Brandon wins the draw. Into the neutral ice area. Jakes whacks it back, but it's kept in play by Brandon. Drager goes right to Newman. Newman along the boards. Back into the Tri-Cities end. Kraus keeps it back into the neutral area for the Americans. Goes back to Newman. Newman shoots it down to Kraus. Kraus plays it back to Jakes. Played it off his knee. Jakes to Rennie. Rennie dumps it across the blue line. They chase in after it. But Odgers is there for Brandon. Whips it around the boards. Kraus is there. A shot blocked out front. Back to Kraus. Kraus another drive, but it rebounds right back out to Brandon, to Graham Garden. Garden brings it across the blue line. Garden pulls up short, loses the puck. Jake shoots it back the length of the ice. Goes back into the Brandon end, be touched there by Brad Woods. Woods back with it. They wash out the penalty. No penalty there, or no call for icing, as McNutt steals the puck. McNutt tries to get a shot. Can't. It slides in on Kidd. Delcourt dove for it. Couldn't do anything with it. Robertson with it now for Brandon. Robertson shoots it into the Americans' end. Furlan comes out, puts Wood on it, leaves it for Kraus. Kraus back to Delcourt. Delly can't handle it. He'll take it around the net to Rob Kraus. Kraus for the Americans. Kraus goes right now to Steve Jakes. Jakes ahead of McNutt. McNutt with it. Got it ahead to Delcourt. Rolls over his stick and shot back into the neutral area by Brandon. Minute 1 to play. 6-3 the score. The Wheaties lead. Here's Trent Catcher. Catcher with the puck. Cross ice to McNutt. McNutt loses it to Cam Brown. Brown shoots it around the boards. Brandon just killing time. 46 seconds to go. Back out to the point. Shot toward the goal by Newman, but gloved by Kudowitz. He loses it. Dropped it on Troy Kennedy. Kennedy couldn't do anything with it. Back is Catcher. Catcher for the American. Shoots it into the neutral ice area. Back goes Cam Brown for Brandon. Shoots it into the Americans' end. Catcher after it. And we'll have an icing call there against Brandon. But it's 6-3 with the Brandon Wheatkings leading the Tri-City Americans with 25 seconds on the clock.
Kirk, Thursday night, Portland.
Yeah, that should be a good game. Portland has an excellent goalie, and Danny Laurent, not in
what coach?
Terminal brain fade here. 25 seconds to go. Go ahead.
Coach Oliver, what he's going to have to do, get the players together, regroup them. They're going to have probably a very good workout tomorrow. And again, the haunting story, the power play.
Americans have had opportunities. They've had 6 power plays in this game. Brandon's had 7, but Brandon's got 2 goals from power plays. As Price Wood controls the faceoff, now Robertson steals it away. Robertson takes a shot. Kidd blocks it, deflects it off into the corner. 9 seconds. 8. Scramble for the puck out to the corner. Catcher tried to center it. Back across the blue line for Rick Fry. Fry trying to muscle it in. Can't do it, and time runs out. That's the end of the game. The Brandon Wheatkings win it by a score of 6-3 over the Tri-City Americans.
Very deserved win for the Brandon Wheatkings. Of course, the coach, Sauter over there, he's extremely happy. They have a great bus ride home, I think. Even though it's a 24-hour drive to Brandon, they're going to be a little bit more happier about
Doug
that.
Sauter sporting the best mustache in the league.
There's no doubt
That's
about
a Lanny McDonald special. Just having one of those, having a great night. Here's Brandon Wheatkings came out and earned the victory all over the ice. And tonight it is their game. Trevor Kidd, the young goalie, doing a fine job for the Brandon Wheatkings. Kidd asking the linesman for the puck, and he goes into the locker room victorious. Final score 6-3. We'll be back with our post-game show in 2 minutes on this KOTY Americans hockey broadcast.
Our computer was collecting dust in Dave's study until we installed Express Exchange last month.
In Walla Walla, we practiced in Yakima, we went on long road trips, we showed up, we played hard every night. We get home, we get practice in our own rink, things get easier, we got a great dressing room, you know, we've got everything, the finest of everything, and now that things get easier, we don't show up, and quite frankly, this is the worst performance of our hockey team for the year, and certainly as a coach, I have to take full responsibility for the fact we did not come to play tonight, and I can assure you that will not be the case Thursday night.
John, is that one of those things that happens occasionally to a team that sets a goal? You see it a lot in playoffs. Team sets a goal, make the playoffs. So the first thing they do, they make the playoffs, and then it's they met the goal and just gone flat. It was a goal.
Kirk,
get home.
If I knew what was wrong, I'll tell you, I would do it. I couldn't believe some of the things we did out there tonight. We're down by 3 goals. We get a goal, and we're out dancing at the red line, and we're down by 2 goals late in the hockey game. I mean, I couldn't believe my eyes. We've got to get back to playing as a team. That first period, we must have had 25 turnovers.
Yeah.
Inside our own blue line, we just gave the puck away time and time and time again. And I mean, that's just sloppy hockey. And we're certainly a much better team than we showed tonight. We've got to get back to the basics. Maybe getting thrashed by a team that has trouble scoring like we do, 6-3 in our rink, is going to be a shock treatment to our guys. And I can tell you, we're going to have a good practice tomorrow here at the rink, and we're going to come out and we're going to play hard, and we're going to beat Portland Thursday. I guarantee you that.
John Oliver, thank you for joining us. A tough loss in the home rink. Look forward to that game against Portland on Thursday. The Winterhawks are a team that takes a lot of chances. They gamble. They race up and down the ice. Not exactly known for hard crushing defense, but they're a team that can put a lot of points on the board. Should make for an interesting game.
They're a very exciting team offensively. They've got a lot of guys that can score. They have a couple players, particularly in Troy Mink, Dennis Holland, who can really score if you give them some opportunities. They're a much better team, offensively than Brandon is, and we're going to have to play much better to beat them. We're going to have to start playing as a team, particularly inside our own blue line. We've got to get better team defense. And we've got to break out of our end better and make that first pass and put it on the guy's stick. The only thing I can say that did appear to be a problem for us early is the puck was bouncing like it wasn't frozen. And if the pucks aren't frozen, they're going to bounce like that. And I talked to the minor officials about it. They said the pucks were on ice, but I don't think that they were frozen, and certainly we've got to make sure next game they are, because we couldn't make a pass that first period.
That's for sure. John Oliver, thanks very much. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, here in the States, as the Americans face the Portland Winterhawks.
Well, I'll be looking forward to that because I'll tell you, we want to redeem ourselves. That's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to be up here right now after a 6-3 loss. I know our players are embarrassed, and I'll tell you, we're going to make up for that one Thursday night.
That wraps it up from Tri-Cities Coliseum. Again, the final score, Brandon 6, Tri-Cities 3. See you on Thursday night from the Tri-Cities Coliseum. I'm Kirk Williamson. Good night.